What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
Right through for a goal.
AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it! Bye-bye! See you later!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sport's expert commentary team.
Set, bingo!
AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
AFL.
What a stage. This game is coming to life.
The 2023 AFL Premiership season.
The roar will tell you the story. Fans are on their feet.
This game is electric.
Holds his arms out wide and tells them to get excited. Oh, the home fans like that. What a game. It's got everything.
On the run. It's happening again. It's a whole new game.
Cause here it comes, here it comes.
One bounce at 60, one bounce at 40, one bounce at 20, and he goes.
He plays on from 52 out. The package bangs it through.
Something big is coming, something big is coming.
On the left boot, he's welcome to the big time moment.
Something big is coming, something big is coming.
Turn, steady, go!
Something big is
The
coming.
2023 AFL Premiership season.
Durham to win it. Goal!
Fill your lungs, are you ready for it?
Gets onto it, and away it goes.
Tapped it twice with his left hand. Gathered in the right forward pocket. That is brilliant.
Here they come.
That's class.
Oh, he's a star. What a game.
Brilliant.
He goes.
This kid is going places.
Hand pass to Sarong. Sarong pulls the trigger. Boom.
Rioli with some magic. The check side finish. He seizes the moment. Curls it around. What about that?
Hand pass to Elliott, back to Hill. Superb finish.
55 out. He's given this plenty. That's a magnificent strike of the football.
He dribbles it along the ground for an incredible goal.
Grimes goes long. Bolton. High altitude fly from Showbolt.
Snap from 35 and boy does he love it.
Good for Humphrey. Here's Humphrey to put the Suns 8 points clear.
To take the lead. It never looked like missing.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
A September shaper with 4 rounds to go till the finals. Carlton have roared to life after a mid-season slump, having won 6 on the trot for the first time since 2000. Downing ladder leaders Collingwood last week despite missing personnel and sitting 7th on the AFL ladder. And despite a topsy-turvy year, Ross Lyon's Saints sit in 5th spot on the AFL ladder, having spent most of the season inside the top 8 despite 3 wins from their last 7 matches. They do get Max King and Brad Hill back into their best side today. It's round 21 of the AFL, St Kilda and Carlton under the roof of Docklands on ABC Sport. Hi everyone, Matt Clinch with you. There's no late changes for either side with Liam Stocker, the sub for the Saints, and Ed Curnow for the Blues. It's the type of match in the lead up to September you want to be a part of. And Corby Middlemass is right alongside me to call the action. Welcome to you, Corby.
Thanks, Clinchy. There does seem to be a fair bit of doom and gloom around St Kilda, despite the fact that they have spent every single week of the season inside the top 6. Even if they lose today, they won't fall out at the 8. And Ross Lyon has taken matters into his own hands this week. He's got a perfect record against Michael Voss. 6 times they've met. Ross, the boss, has come out on top on every occasion. He said at his midweek press conference, for whatever reason, we're the underdogs, despite the fact the last time they met, St Kilda dismantled Carlton's system, won by 22 points, a game we all did earlier in the year. He said, we've got real belief in our system and our effort. I implore our members to get along. Don't believe the narrative. So as much as they've got their toughest run home, they've only beaten the bottom 3 teams in the last 7 weeks. Ross Lyon is very much trying to reshape the storyline around St Kilda, and I think it's a good way to go about it. It's a hell of a game in front of us. I can't wait for this afternoon.
Trust in us, not in what you're hearing, is the message coming out of the Saints. Our Sunday crew are here, our number one draft picks. One of our sharpest eyes is what we need this afternoon. Two-time All-Australian, Anna Best and Ferris. Brett Delidio's here. Welcome to you, Lids.
Thank you, Clinchy. Nice and refreshed, boys. I've been away to the snow during the week, so I feel...
With the Melbourne fans?
No, with my girls. No, the snow wasn't great in terms of the coverage, but tell you what, my glutes and legs and that are paying for it, Murph. It's hard work towing your kids down the mountain when you're a bit inexperienced yourself. I've only been a couple of times, so I had my wife laughed her head off at me because she's grown up with it. But anyway, it was a good experience. Had a lot of fun.
Would you go again?
Absolutely, can't wait for next year. I'm already looking to book it in.
Confidence is normally your strong suit. By the end, you would have been pretty comfortable, though.
Well, mate, I went straight to the big runs. Don't worry about that. But
double black.
But if I fell down, don't worry. As long as there was nets on the side to stop me from going over the edge, I was pretty happy.
It's been a big week for the Carlton fans, haven't they? Come out of the woodwork. You need to keep your Carlton friends close. We've got one, a 300-gamer for the Blues. Mark Murphy is here to watch his former club. Welcome to you, Murph.
Yes, thanks, Clinchy, Corbin and Lids. Good to be here to watch a big game. And I like what Ross Lyon has done this week. He's given confidence to his players by talking about them in a really high regard. And so he should. They're sitting fifth on the ladder and being inside the top 8 for... the whole year, so they're doing a lot of things really well, and for whatever reason, Carlton are favourites today. They've got a lot out, Carlton, so it's a really important, obviously, game for both teams, but if Carlton can continue the momentum that they've built over the past 6 weeks and win against a side who's sitting 5th on the ladder with a lot of players out, it's going to be a really testing afternoon for them, so it'll be interesting to see how they go.
But didn't Ross say not that long ago that this list is not quite up to it, and I'm not sure what all the hype is about? It's like, seriously, where are we at with Ross?
He's turned the narrative.
He has, hasn't he? Oh, seriously, he was underplaying his list at the moment. He said, let's not get our hopes up, but all of a sudden now we're well entrenched, and look out, get here and come and support us.
He comes across as a great storyteller, Ross, and I think he's got them on that journey at the moment. A few weeks ago, I thought the same thing. I was like, geez, interesting to hear a coach come out and talk about the list in which it was at that point in time and how they were going.
What did he call them? When our top flights aren't going, there's not much underneath, I think was the quote.
Yeah. It's almost a challenge in itself that his players, when they hear that, because a lot of them probably would have thought, I regard myself a better footballer than that, if he is talking about the player who was thinking that. So their top flight players are obviously stars, but he's probably more employing the guys who are underneath those stars to lift their game.
The Max King comments around, we're not basketball, we don't have franchise players that single-handedly control games, so the hype, we don't want it too good, we don't want the negative press too bad, we want somewhere right in the middle, and at the moment they sit 5th on the ladder, so a season-shaping game between the 5th place Saints against the 7th place Blues. The match taking place in Tasmania has been interesting as well. What a weekend it's been so far. The Roos kicked 5 of the opening 6 goals of the match. They led by 33 points early in the second quarter. They lead by 4 points at half-time, 8-8-56 to the Demons, 8-4-52. So Melbourne with the last 3 goals of the half. There is an ABC call to that game available via the ABC Listen app, but we'll keep you across all the scores this afternoon. But we'll head down inside the Blues camp shortly. But with the news surrounding Nick Dacos out for 6 weeks, Nathan Murphy out for 2 to 3, Collingwood are 2 games clear of Port Adelaide. There's a chance for Melbourne and Brisbane with victory this afternoon. They can draw level with the Brisbane with Port Adelaide, and all of a sudden the last 3 weeks have come to life.
Yeah, it's funny how we chop and change with what we think of a team based on a couple of results. We're so results driven, aren't we, rather than just seeing them for what the footy that they're playing. And let's be honest, they're 2 games clear for a reason. They continued to win right throughout the hardest part of the year. And we're coming into a really challenging, the back end here before you prime yourself for finals, Murph. But
are you worried about them at the moment?
A little bit, but only because, you can see what I think the D's are doing. Take away today's game and where they're sitting at the moment, 4 points down at Tassie. But I like what the D's are doing. I think, the decision to put Brodie Grundy back, Max Gorn one out, they'll get Clayton Oliver back really soon. They're a strong chance, but it'll be really interesting to see where the Pies are at with all their troops.
We're going to come back to that, Murph, but let's head straight down into the carpet. Carlton camp. Jess Webster's on the boundary for us this afternoon. Welcome to you, Jess.
Thanks, Clinchy. Here with Brad Lloyd, head of footy at Carlton Footy Club. We've got a great game on our hands this afternoon, and you're hitting form at the right time of the year as well. 6 in a row, another good opportunity against St Kilda today. What are the confidence levels like at the moment within the camp?
Yeah, club's playing really well. The boys are feeling good. Structurally we've been holding up really well from winning the stoppages, and back line's holding up, turning the ball over further up the ground. So everyone's feeling good about themselves. But big challenge tonight.
And you've had your troubles with injuries in recent weeks, but you keep winning. You must be really pleased with the ability of this group to keep getting the job done each week.
Yeah, we've had no choice but that next man up mentality. It has been a challenge. Our durability with a few of the good players, Walsh and Chera and Harry and these types, a bit of a list there, McGovern. But the guys have held up pretty well so far, so let's hope they can do it again tonight. And
big Charlie Curnow up forward. He's in some great form at the moment. You must get a lot of excitement watching him play week in, week out.
Yeah, he is one where you sit in the box and shake your head a bit. Yeah, he's in sensational form. I think he's at the absolute top of his game, so yeah, wonderful player.
Brad Lloyd with us on Grandson AFL. Let's head upstairs to the box to our experts, Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy.
Lloydie, Murphy, I just want to ask you about Zach Fisher coming in today. He's been out for quite some time. He's noted on playing half-back or centre-half-back at the moment on the team list. Where's he going to feature today?
Yeah, he's been doing a bit of half-back in the VFL, so yeah, he'll play across half-back. He's a nice mover, and as you know, Murph, he can sort of change direction and change angles really, really quickly. So he'll be pretty busy back there. So we're looking forward to seeing him in action. I think he's got some weapons.
And George Hewitt had a role on Nick Dacos last week and did a really good job. Jack Steele in the sights of George Hewitt today?
Oh, look, George is someone that we'll put to players at different times. I think we'll play our game first and foremost and see how we go. But yeah, he has got that really defensive mindset, George, so he can do that if we need him.
And what were the lessons learnt earlier on the year when you came up against St Kilda? Because they were quite... I suppose they owned the game really last time you played them. I know you're going to say we're a different side than what we were back then, but there's some lessons you can learn out of that performance?
Yeah, I think early in the year, I think we were about 17th in clearances and contested possession in the middle. So, we are a bit different there with, our mids are getting out their hands on the footy. And I think, our players have really bought into the defensive structure. And I guess sometimes it takes you to get to some lows to sort of, really buy in. And our players have certainly done that. So, in very different form to earlier in the year.
Brad, it's Brett Lidio here. I just want to ask you about a player who I think's really taken his game to a level I haven't seen yet in his whole career, I'd almost say. Jack Martin, I feel like he's finally got his body right, but he's also the work rate that's required as that high half forward.
Super player, and I think last week, every time the ball's sort of a bit of a tumbling kick, he seemed to be the one there in the right spot to mark it. So, yeah, he's a class player. Really good overhead, but he's so tough. Once a game you see him sort of tear through and sort of threaten to sort of lay a big bump. So, really important player for us. So, we have had some durability concerns over the last couple of years with a few players, but Jack's in really good form.
Brad Lloyd's with us on ABC Sport. Brad, it's Matt Clinch. We spoke to Adam Sard last week on the lead after his win against Collingwood. He spoke about the key themes around the pressure, contested possession and the selfless nature of playing your role within this team. How's that sort of changed internally? How do you assess the week to week?
Yeah, look, I do notice watching on, you very rarely see sort of someone blaze from a pocket and have a shot and those sorts of things. It's the players have really bought in. A lot of them talk about going to Ed Curnow's place back a number of weeks ago and sort of really sort of investing in a conversation and where we want to take things. So, look, I think since we got really that Adelaide game where we really got sort of taught a lesson in the middle, we've been working on things, but there was a bit of a lag and it's sort of taken a number of weeks after that to come to fruition. So, the players have really bought into that, and we have had some movement with the side with different players coming in and out, but they're holding up well.
So internally, do you recognise that any differently, the selfless nature, or has that been something that you've started doing in recent weeks, or is that something you've tried to do throughout the season?
Oh, Vossi really calls it out. He certainly rewards it. He talks about those acts and those efforts constantly. So, you obviously get the brilliance of the Charlie Curnows and your 10 goals occasionally, but it's more the role players and the players that do those sort of acts that get acknowledged by the coach.
And Rowan Marshall's been in great form for the Saints. There's no secret that he's been a key driver to their midfield dominance. How do you see that battle between Tom De Koning and Mark Pitnet playing out?
Yeah, so no, he's a great player, Rowan. So he'll be a challenge. It's good to have both their ruckmen back up and going. So Pitto, very different types. Pitto with his sort of bullocking style and strong, and Tom that being a jumping ruckman that can go forward and help Charlie out. So I think our boys can match them, but he's certainly a challenge.
Carlton footy boss Brad Lloyd with us on Grandstand AFL. Brad, it's Corbin Middlemass here. We've spoken to your leaders in recent weeks in Brian Cork and also Luke Sayers about the fact that it feels like when there's a crisis at Carlton that the house burns brighter than just about any other team in the competition, that there's a particular sort of fierce nature to the criticism that comes your way. Have you experienced anything quite like this year in footy where you've been able to turn it around on the run from losing 8 out of 9 games to all of a sudden be in the position that you are now with 4 to play?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't recommend it, if that's for sure. But no, it's been some challenging times. I do feel we're more resilient because of it. And we had the review a couple of years ago, and then last year we started really well, and we had some injuries and faded out as the year went on. And then this year, culturally and everything was really sound around the club. We just couldn't transfer it into wins. And I felt the leadership of the club could see that things were tracking okay, but just weren't getting the 4 points and hung in there. So I thought it was great leadership by Luke Sayers and the board and Brian and Vossi in particular as well. So, the club sort of stuck together, and I feel like everyone's appreciative of that and getting some rewards for that united approach.
It's naturally the time of the year, though, with 4 weeks left in the home and away season. People are thinking about what 2024 looks like. Jack Silvani's obviously off contract at the moment, and he's not playing. He's out injured. Is there a contract in front of him at the moment?
Oh, look, we have regular discussion with his manager, so no, not at that point at this stage. So look, I won't get into individual contract negotiations, but we'll keep working through that. List management as the year goes on. In particular, mate, we're meeting weekly and working through those dynamics. So it was great to get Tommy DeConning signed up the other week, and we've still got a number of others to. In fact, there's probably a number of players playing tonight that are still uncontracted for next year. So it's part of the game. I think most guys sign 2-year deals, so every 2 years half your list comes out. So we're just working through that.
And what about the football department, Brad? Because Brian Cook, who was with us a few weeks ago, basically was very strong and committed to Michael Voss and said he's going to be the man. And I asked him about whether there would be change to the football department more broadly, and he said, look, we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. Do you have any indication as to what your football department's going to look like leading into next season?
Oh, look, we'll really push down the stability path. We've got a fairly new. The coach has been together for 18 months, and and it's still really forming from that point of view. So we'll stick together, be really stable, keep investing. As the soft cap comes in, we'll keep rewarding staff, and a real united approach. So that'll be the approach from the footy department. Every year there's different tweaks, and you look at how you can add and improve. So we'll be no different, but mostly we'll keep everyone together.
And Brad, as we let you go, for Carlton fans heading along to the game today, you've got Melbourne next Saturday night at the MCG. Is there a possibility of Sam Walsh travelling ahead of schedule? Is there likely that any of the players would return for next week?
Look, I don't think it'd be quite that early. Look, he's travelling really well. That'd probably just be a fraction early for Sam. But we've got a couple of players with hamstrings that aren't far off after that game, but maybe not quite next week.
Just quickly, Brad, I noticed Paddy Dow and Adam Saab just ran past you both with a physio. Is that normal? They're all okay?
Well, we have about 4 or 5 physios on the day, so they're always lurking around. I have the same thing when I look at the doctors and physios, so they can't really stand next to anyone. So, no, they've gone to do the warm-up. I haven't seen anything, I guess, out of line, but I'll keep an eye on it. But, no, I think they're probably just running along together.
Good on you, Brad. Good luck. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks very much.
Brad Lloyd, the head of footy from the Blues, joining us on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass to call the action. Jess Webster down the boundary. Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio with you on ABC Sport.
Is that all normal?
Oh, it's nothing to worry about, I don't think.
Yep.
I'll look like an idiot if he's laid out, but I don't think it's unusual for a physio to run off with a player who might want something re-strapped or just feel that they're not quite right and get some more treatment. So I wouldn't think there'd be anything untoward about that.
A 3-point lead the way of North Melbourne in Tasmania. 8-8-56 to the D's. 8-5-53 after the Roos kicked 5 of the first 6 goals of the match. What's the temperature amongst your Carlton fans at the moment, having won 6 on the trot? I imagine the optimism is high that if you can finish in the same fashion that the club has been playing, you'll be in September, and today will play a key part in it.
Yeah, the vibe is strong at the moment from a lot of Carlton people, and I come across quite a few of my old teammates. I was talking to Heath Scotland and Andy Carazzo during the week, and we're obviously pleasantly surprised by the way in which we've been going. Myself, last week, I was pretty confident going into the Collingwood game. A little bit nervous today, only on the back of the game earlier in the year against St Kilda. I thought they were really strong, the way in which they played St Kilda. Their method to expose Carlton was strong. I know Carlton are a better side than what they were earlier in the year, but the outs too with Sam Walsh and Adam Chera. Harry Mackay's been out for a few weeks, but Mitch McGovern, you just hope that there's not too many that's a straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So you can't cover too many, but I think they're running mids with Chera, who's been in best and fairest form, and Sam Walsh, who was playing really well. You just hope it's not too many in that midfield where they're relying on too few.
What sort of you read, Lids? They've beaten the top two in Collingwood and Port Adelaide. All of a sudden, with the results over the last couple of weeks, that form line doesn't look as strong as potentially what it might have a month or two ago, but they're certainly in the sides playing the better footy at this time of year.
Yeah, they are, but I think the last 2 weeks in particular have been more free hits for them, in that the pressure was off and you can just come out and play. You know, the other two teams were high on the ladder. They're probably not expected to win, so you just throw it all at them and see how you go. Whereas today, I feel that they're expected to win more so. Carlton, they are the favourites, even though the St Kilda, the Saints probably had the better form line. Sorry, not the form line, but they're sitting higher on the ladder at the moment. So
more consistent season.
More consistent season, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's really up to whether Carlton can continue to play the way they have. But I coming into the game, I feel that the Saints will just try and bog this one down and not allow the Blues to really get their game up and going, and that probably suits the Saints a little bit more. So, yeah, I'm a bit foot in both camps, but I think it's probably the Saints, even though I tipped the Blues at the start of the week.
Yeah, it's a good setup, and it's a different challenge for Carlton, isn't it? They have to play in a very different way, and if the game is on St Kilda's terms early, something they failed to do, Murph, in the first half of the season is being able to turn momentum and adjust in play, whether they can actually make those adjustments against a Ross Lyon coach team, which always sort of makes you think your way through it.
Yeah, I think what people who look at Carlton would say is that over the past 12 months, they dropped away last year and they had a lot of injuries which cost them. So some people are probably thinking, is it unfortunate that they're going through this period again now where they've got a few injuries, and do they have the depth to cover it? Their momentum over the past 3 or 4 weeks has been really strong. I was really impressed by the way in which they obviously played last week against Collingwood, having Cherry get injured as well, missing Sam Walsh. They're two main runners through the midfield. So Paddy Dow's got a real opportunity today and in the next couple of weeks to put his best foot forward and play a really strong game, because they certainly need him to play really well through. Kruger's been fantastic over the last few weeks. He hasn't had the big numbers that he recently as we're expected to see from him, but I think his game's still been really strong, and guys have played really well around him.
Yeah, not as much junk, if that makes sense, with all due respect. There's not as much of the little ones that don't count for much, but more the bullet can get it forward, release it to your runners, which I think is more his go, Paddy Cripps. But then I just want to see him sneak forward. I reckon he's got a real opportunity to sneak forward and maybe kick a couple today.
Had 10 tackles last week for his 20 touches, half of them contested. Paddy Cripps in that win over Collingwood. Can I ask you about Brad Lloyd, speaking about the Kerno residents and the come to Jesus moment that the Blues had a couple of weeks ago? We've heard a bit about it in the press in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Did you ever get invited to something like that down there, Murph? Talk us about the premises and what kind of thing goes on in that moment.
Invited down to Ed Kerno's property.
Yeah.
No,
where's he live?
It's only new down in Bells Beach.
Oh, does he?
He does. So
he looks like a Bells Beach.
He's a surfer, so he loves it, Ed Kerno. He loved the time on the hub, just going on the water, going on the beach every day. He's a real free spirit, Ed, but I think they lost 2 after that. So I think they talk about it being a really big moment for the footy club. But it might have been in terms of some good conversation around the campfire. I think they all just sat around and had a couple of beers together and just talked about the year. And obviously they weren't playing the type of football that they were expecting to play, and guys probably weren't in form individually as well. So whether or not a few things were said and some guys really took something out of what was discussed as a team or as individuals, we're only guessing, aren't we? But they certainly didn't come and win 6 in a row after that. I think they lost a couple more before they started to get the reward from it.
You know how Ross talks about narratives? It doesn't really suit the story
I'm trying
to set up. So.
I knew what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring us down, all your supporters.
You did something, didn't you, similar, Lids, when you were at Richmond? You guys went out to the
heaps of
bush
times.
and had a...
we did it every year for a few years. Trying to find the answer. I remember one time we went down to, I think we trained at Rise Home Deck down there, and then all sat around and, had a bit of an open honesty check, and that's where Cuzzy said anything that involves a circle of chairs, nothing good comes of it, which is 100% spot on. You walk into a room and there's all the chairs are circled up. Nothing good, there's some honest feedback coming, so be prepared, put the raincoat on. No, it was, we did that a couple of times. More often than not, it's just like, boys, where's the opportunity? Let's get together and see whether we can have a beer and a feed. And
you just try and break the cycle.
Exactly right.
It's something that players or teams will do is go, well, you know what, we're just turning up week to week and we think something's going to change. We just need to try and change a few little bits and pieces up, and hopefully you just get some sort of response.
If you want to add your thoughts to ours, any kumbaya moments you can reflect upon, 0437 774 774 is the SMS line. Ben's thrown in that, Freo had a famous one at Rick Hart's farm before they made the 2006 prelim on a second-half season run. And I guess when you look back to that match in round 6, I mean, the Saints had 73 more uncontested possessions, 39 more marks. So the style in which the Saints is going to want to play will be significantly different to, say, a team like Collingwood last week. So it will be interesting to see how they adapt throughout the game.
Yeah, I remember going back to that game earlier in the year, and St Kilda just didn't allow Carlton to go with any speed at all. So they just shut down everything. I think Carlton sort of were going through a stage where they were just a little bit unsure and weren't being proactive with ball in hand. They were playing a safe brand of football. I think they've sort of learnt from those mistakes earlier in the year, and they've found some real confidence out of moving the ball quick, and not just moving the ball quick, but being smarter with how they've used it as well. Sometimes there's an opportunity just to go long and get it in there as quick as you can. Other times you've got to be slower and build the ball up. Sometimes you've got to play on with handball receive and try and break the lines that way. So I think they've found a better balance in the past month or so.
What did you...
Sorry, Anne just wants to know on the SMS, Ed Curno's father-in-law. Do you know David Butterford? Is that right?
Yep, so he was the strength and conditioning coach at Collingwood for a lot of years, and then came to Carlton as well for 2 or 3 when Mick turned up.
So Anne putting the point forward. She thinks the Curnow regroup was significant and maybe David might have played a part in it.
I'm not sure the father-in-law was down there at that point in time, but I think Ed and Charlie's dad is just a real character, Dave, so he might have had something to do with it as well.
Hey, I don't mind any suggestions put forward on the SMS 0437 774 774. A goal for the Demons, so they lead by 4 points. I think that might be the first time they've led all afternoon. 9-6-60 to the Kangaroos, 8-8-56. So the D's have to fight their way back. Harrison Petty, after his dominant display last week, the last goal scorer for the Demons. So having felt like they solved a bit of their problems with Petty, Van Rooyen and Jake Melcham, now the challenge to come from behind against the Roos, who are playing under Alistair Clarkson for the first time in 11 weeks. Would that be a slightly different dynamic, having heard Brett Ratton for so long, to have Clarko come back in and try and work out where we're heading and what's the intent and specific focuses for this week?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if the narrative wasn't pretty similar from both coaches, but it's certainly a different voice. I've seen Brett Ratton down on the bench, so he's still having that really close contact with the players as they come off the ground, and obviously be delivering the messages that are coming from upstairs. I think the Roos really do play well down here in Tassie, so it's not a surprise that they're competitive. But yeah, the D's, hopefully they didn't just roll in thinking we'll just get this done and we can fly in, fly out, and away we go.
I think they thought that when they first turned up.
It happens all the time.
30 points down, just thinking, we're going to turn up here and get the job done. Football's too hard to do that.
And it always kicks you in the backside when you do turn up and think you're just going to get a job done. Very rarely do you turn up and get a 100-point win when you're thinking you're going to get that before the ball's been bounced.
And the Roos spurred on, having lost to West Coast last week in a match in which they came home like a steaming train but couldn't get over the line.
I think 33 was as wide as it got. So they were 33 points up earlier.
Had Melbourne led any stage? I don't think so.
Not since, if they did, very, very, very early. Yeah.
We touched at the start of the broadcast around the news around Nick Dacos and Nathan Murphy. How does it sort of change your view of Collingwood? They sit 2 games clear on top of the AFL ladder. In your eyes, are they still the team to beat despite their losses in recent weeks?
Well, they're sitting at the top of the ladder for a reason, aren't they? I think their best is still very, very impressive. It's what concerns me is the fact that they've had to come from behind in a lot of games, and they've got that momentum through being able to do that over the last 24 months. But I think it's there's some genuine worries there, and particularly around their personnel that are actually going to be rolling out. They've shown they can do it without key posts not playing and whatever else. But yeah, they'll miss Dacos because he's a key link player, and Murphy's another key back that I think they've had Frampton, though, playing in the 2, so he could come straight back in.
I think they pulled him out of the VFL game today.
Yeah, to get him ready. Yeah.
To potentially play.
So, look, I think they've got coverage there, but, yeah, I don't think they want to be flirting with too much form. I think that's the issue that Fly will be challenging his troops about and making sure that, they're staying on task. But they've also come up against, the Hawks. That they just let it all hang out yesterday and everything went really well for them. The Blues, they just got them and they were far better last week. They're on a bit of a roll at the moment, the Blues. So, yeah, they'll learn some lessons. The team I'll be more worried about is probably Port Adelaide. And they've had some real issues with injuries, but sickness as well. So, they're, 4 games or 4 games they've lost in a row now? Is that right?
The Power?
I think that's right, 4. Yeah. So, yeah.
Having lost 2 all season before that.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about where they're heading, but that's been the same for the last 3 years. As you know, Corb, we've spoken about the Power a fair bit in terms of them going into finals.
So Collingwood have Geelong, Brisbane and Essendon in their last 3 games.
Well, they could lose the next 3, couldn't they?
The Cats are playing for everything on the line, and they found a way to get over Port Adelaide. Corby, you were down there for last night, and obviously all of a sudden Nick Dacos, who was the Brownlow favourite, just doing a bit of numbers yesterday. Marcus Bontempelli with his 3 votes in our ABC Football of the Year now leads from Nick Dacos. He's had 8 best on grounds as opposed to Nick Dacos with 5. So all of a sudden the Brownlow might be open again if the Bont compose another couple of 3-vote games.
Well, that's it, and Dacos is now out for the next 6 weeks, so it's like, well, he's not getting any more 3 voters, is he? So I think if you look at it from Marcus Bontempelli's point of view or a Bulldogs fan point of view, like he just chucks that team on his back at times with his understudy Libba going about his business and doing a lot of work that probably doesn't get the recognition of what Bontempelli does, but geez, he's been good this year, Bontempelli. I can certainly mount a case for him coming home with a wet sail and winning the Brownlow.
It felt like a few weeks ago the race for the top 8 was really wide, but the conversation as to who could win the flag was quite skinny.
Yeah.
But there was only a handful of teams. It feels like that's completely been blown open now.
Who else can win other than Pies and D's, in your opinion?
Oh, well, you think if
I don't think the Lions can. I don't think Port Adelaide can.
But I don't think there's daylight between the top 2 and the rest like there probably 5 weeks ago.
I know you were more concerned with Port Adelaide. I'd be more concerned with Collingwood at the moment. Okay. Yeah, I just feel that the reason why they've been so great is because they've had these narrow wins. I think sometimes they can be really taxing sometimes, and they've been involved in a lot of hot games and a lot of games that have been decided with small margins. So maybe that's just been a taxing period for them. And then, Nick Dacos, you can't replace a Nick Dacos. So they're heavily reliant upon him getting 30 a week, and he's been dominating games of football. So you take him out of the side, and he's missing, obviously, the next 3 of the home and away season. That's another week for the bye before finals. That's 4. So if he misses full 6...
Yep. He's going to miss at least a final.
He's missing at least a final then possibly 2.
Yep.
And you're not going to rush him back with the type of talent that he is, even though you're trying to win a flag. If he's got another 15 years of playing AFL football, you're not rushing him back. So and Port Adelaide, I thought they were pretty good last night, really, with the amount of outs that they did have. To go down to Geelong, which is pretty hard to win down there. I know Geelong had a few outs, but they had 8 changes or something from last week with their illness as well, Port Adelaide. So it is wide open, though. Brisbane, if they finish top 2 and get home finals, they're going to be pretty dangerous. So I think it's wide open as opposed to what we probably thought a month ago with Collingwood and Port being the standing out above the rest, really.
Great for the season, where every team has warts on them in their own way.
Yeah. And just having a chat to Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter before we came in to do the broadcast, games experience missing this week with injury. You look at West Coast with 1,257. The Blues have 1,087 games experience missing. The Saints with 651. Collingwood are on the bottom of that list with just 11 games missing. So they were almost the fittest side going around before this weekend. Now all of a sudden you take out Nathan Murphy and Nick Dacos, and that narrative completely changes. Brisbane with just 198 games, so they're sort of at the right end of it. Port Adelaide now with 500. So that's sort of what makes today so interesting, with the Blues and the Saints both having missed some personnel who can adapt their game style on the run and potentially take a big step forward towards September.
Oh, it's a huge one. I mean, Carlton win today, and they go to 5th on the ladder. So, yeah, it's a big game this afternoon. But yeah, there's lots of games between now and the end of the season, which has a lot hanging on it. So, and the good thing for all football fans that all these sides who are fighting it out are all playing each other too. So, that's the one good thing about having so many sides also closely logjam in the middle of that ladder, that we get opportunities to see these teams playing against one another from week to week and just seeing where they come out on top.
Can I just pick up on that SMS on the screen?
Yeah, so 0437 774 774. Press him on Silvani is the SMS that comes in. It's ridiculous. Jack deserves a contract and the club are freezing him out. We, the Carlton faithful, are growing tired of their crap.
Yeah, so I asked Brad Lloyd, obviously, about Silvani, and I was interested to hear him say that there's not even a contract in front of him at this point. So, Murph is our resident Carlton person. What would the Blues be waiting for to offer him a deal? Surely they're not looking at their list and going, hang on, I don't even think he fits in the 40.
I thought the same thing when he said that. If there's not a contract on the table at this point in the season, there's probably rarely going to be another one, I think.
So you're happy for him to walk?
Well, I'm not saying I'm happy. I'm just saying that
the message coming out sounds like
the message is that there's currently no contract there for him, and that's in black and white, really, from what was just said, wasn't it?
Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. He probably started slow, like a lot of blokes did at the start of the year. I think he's passed 4 weeks before he got injured, were top shelf, and showed you that it was really important for this side because he's a utility and he fills holes wherever they are on the game, whether that's as a secondary ruck or whether that's up forward or down back as a supporting player. It's surprising that there's not many players who can play that sort of Mr. Fix-It role, and I think he's certainly one of them.
Yeah, it's completely different between there's a contract on the table, he feels like he's worth more than that, he wants to go and test the market and look around, compared to we actually haven't offered him anything.
And he's the biggest, and Silvani's the biggest name in Carlton history, really. So supporters will be passionate about wanting to see Jack Silvani playing in the number 1 jersey.
Yeah.
So there's it's interesting to hear that there's currently not a contract on the table.
Where's he play next year, Lids?
Saints.
Plays at the Saints, where his old man is.
I think so.
Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with their thoughts ahead of the Saints and the Blues from Docklands. There's no late changes with Ed Curnow and Liam Stocker, the subs for this afternoon, as the Saints make their way out onto Docklands, led by Jack Steele. Meanwhile, down in Tasmania, it's the Demons who've kicked the last 4 goals of the match. All of a sudden, they've opened up a 20-odd point break against the Roos. 12-6-78 to the Kangaroos, 8-9-57. As the Saints make their way out onto Docklands, a chance to head inside their camp. And Jess Webster's made her way around there and joined by one of their assistant coaches, Corey Enright.
Here with Corey Enright. Corey, is a lot on the line today for both yourselves and Carlton, a packed house. So when you woke up this morning and knew it was game day, how excited were you to come to the footy?
Yeah, it's nice to be playing in these games, and hopefully it's full of St Kilda supporters, and we can put on a good show.
And King and Hill are back in the lineup today. How important are they structurally to the side?
Oh, it's nice to have good players playing for you, and those two are obviously really good players. And Max has been in and out of the team a little bit this season, but we know what he can do. And Hilly's had a really strong year for us. So, it's just nice to have those two guys back into our lineup, and hopefully they complement us.
And how is Max trained? Is he 100% ready to go?
Yeah, he's ready to go, yeah. Obviously, he had, I can't even remember when the injury was, but ever since then he's trained strongly, and we didn't put a date on when it was expected for him to be back. So it's today, and we're looking forward to having him back out there.
And the Blues obviously are a really formidable opponent today. They're in really good form. What have you focused on during the week tactically to make sure that you put your best foot forward today?
Yeah, they're playing some really good footy, particularly the last sort of 5 to 6 weeks. They've started to get their game going. So for us, it's a little bit about trying to halt some of those things that they do really well. But as with most weeks for us, it's about focusing on us. And we felt like we started to get back a bit of our footy last week. So a lot of it's focusing on what we want to do and how we want to play.
9-goal first term last week against Hawthorn. I imagine you want to replicate that again today?
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to get those goals like that. But, it's probably not so much the scoreboard stuff. It's more about how we went about it. So those are the things that we'll be focusing on internally, and hopefully the scores can come. But it's more about our effort and our intensity, particularly early around the footy.
And I know you wouldn't focus on external chat within the 4 walls of the footy club, but there have been some suggestions that St Kilda are, I guess, fighting for their place in the top 8 and may drop off as the season wears on, but you haven't dropped below 6 at all on the ladder this season. What are the internal expectations placed on this group?
Yeah, well, we've been pretty clear with the group, and about us trying to always get better and improve every week and improve our game, and individuals improve as well. So, yeah, the end of the season, the ladder will dictate where we finish. But for us, it's about focusing on us as a club and our journey and where we want to go. And we feel like we understand what our measures are internally pretty clearly. So that's all we focus on every week.
What are some of those measures internally? What is it about this side in terms of your strengths that you think are going to put you in good stead today?
Yeah, well, we've highlighted our ability to run really well and play that transition game. And we understand that teams, combat that. But for us, it's just trying to play the way we want to play for long periods within a game. And if we do that, we feel like, result may go away, but it's more about trying to get our game going for long periods of the game. And, we're quite clear how that looks for individuals and for us as a collective. So that's the things we'll be chasing today, but every week as well.
And in terms of your starting lineup, who do you think it's a really big game for? I know you don't want to kind of single out any players, but who do you think that you're looking to have a really big influence today?
I think every game sort of, starts within that midfield battle. So having a look at their lineup and their strengths and what they've done well the last little period is their midfield dominance and sort of that, movement from stoppage and clearance. So as with every game, it's going to be on in there, and our boys really dictated the game last week in there. So for us, it's going to be a battle within the battle.
And retro round, it's always a bit of a vibe, isn't it? Have you guys taken a trip down memory lane this week to try and inspire the playing group?
Well, we're fortunate enough. We got a couple assistant coaches within the club that we can lean on for the retro round sort of memories, I guess. But it is nice to sort of probably more so for the fans and the supporters to, I guess, cast their mind back and what it used to be like. But it's always nice just to have that nod to, I guess, a little bit of history.
Well, thanks for your time. All the best today.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess, and great to hear from Corey Enright in the lead-up to this afternoon's match, St Kilda and Carlton, as round 21 of the AFL continues. There's no late changes with Ed Kerno and Liam Stocker, the subs for this afternoon. A goal to Jai Simpkin down in Tassie. Jacob Van Rooyen just missing a shot on goal for the Demons, so it's a 21-point lead Melbourne's way, 13-6-84 to North Melbourne, 9-9-63. So that was a goal to Van Rooyen. I thought it was a point. So the Demons having a good run of it in this third term and able to open up a 20-point advantage. Matt Clinch and Colin Middlemass to call the action. Mark Murphy and Brett DeLidio are your experts on ABC Sport. A couple of the key matchups this afternoon. I've really been impressed with the work of Jacob Wiedering. Murphy was able to hold Brody Myercheck goalless last week. Was able to take the 10 intercept possessions himself. You'd imagine the job this afternoon against Max King.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I think Jake has probably been the form defender, key defender in the comp over the past probably 4 weeks. So he is back to looking confident and going for his marks. He's always terrific in the spoil. He's one of the strongest body-to-body players that I've seen at the footy club over my time. So I think that's a big challenge for him because Max King is obviously fast superior in the air in terms of his height and reach. So if he can get some clear ball to him, Max King, it's going to be pretty tough for Weeders. But if the ball's coming in long and high, I think then that's when opportunity for Weeders to be supported by a few of his teammates to come across.
Ross has decided, Lids, that Tim Embry isn't in their best 22, certainly today. So the notion that he and Max King could play together. Cooper Sharman has held his spot. Anthony Caminiti got
a surprise, isn't he?
Got the nod from the tribunal during the week to be able to play. Their best goal scorers, though, have been Jack Higgins with 31 and Dan Butler with 28. So it's been the smaller forwards alongside Mitch Owens with 23 who have been the most consistent goal scorers. But one of the questions around the Saints has been their ability to score, especially in the middle stages of the season.
Yeah. Well, I think, the form of both Higgins and Butler, they're relying on high pressure and the ball movement being a lot better. Their ability to get on the end of it, using their speed and class. That I think, the defence of Carlton, it should be good enough. I think with King coming back in, he's on the first game up. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully he's not underdone. They've just brought him back in because it's a big game.
He has worried Weeders a couple of times over the past couple of years.
He's more mobile, isn't he?
Yeah.
And because he's got that those long arms that can probably touch the roof. But look, I think it's the matchup that I'm really keen to see is who's going to go to Charlie Curnow. We know what sort of form he has been in. Is it Cal Wilkie? I think it probably is.
Probably is.
He's the one of the best players for the Saints, and so a super consistent player down there in that back half. So that'll be an interesting matchup. No real speed on either team, I don't feel like, in the midfield. Like, it's going to be a real in and under grunt type game, but the deck certainly suits fast ball movement. So hopefully we can see really good skills and see the ball ping around, but I don't think it's going to be through blistering speed, run and bounce, other than probably Butler down there, Higgins a little bit, and then Sard matching up on him, I think, will be the couple of matchups.
You'd hope the forwards coach at St Kilda wasn't silly enough to show the highlights of Charlie Curnow against Darcy Moore, because that certainly wouldn't have potentially helped the confidence, although Charlie Curnow's had his fair share of free kicks. So I
was about to say,
stat doing the rounds that he's been the number one forward with 16 goals from free kicks. So had 3 in the final term of his 4.
Yeah.
But is that getting up the ground, and then in a physical wrestle, the umpires are looking for the high contact or the jumping, grabbing of the jumper?
I just feel that a lot of defenders are probably looking to try and engage him early.
Yep.
And if you're doing that, you're playing the risk of being found out, because the umpires are looking. They look to the stars, and they understand that Charlie Curnow, because he's so good and so athletic, that if he doesn't tend to jump over the top of them, or looks like he's getting held back, they're just going to pay free kicks. So they're going to have to be pretty careful to make sure they're defending in the right way and getting body on him early, but not just tugging at him. So I think that's where Collingwood fell foul. The umpires was just wrapping arms or locking away arms, and that was where he was being paid some free kicks.
What he does incredibly well is he moves, because he's not a big beast like Mackay. He gets on the move, uses his ability to change direction, get on his bike. So therefore, you try and do anything you can to lock him down, don't allow him to jump and extend, because he's got such a great leap and great hands. So as soon as those hands go around, off the whistle goes, and it's another shot on goal. So
because there's no doubt the defensive coach will be saying, whoever's playing on Charlie Curnow, you just need to get body on him the whole time. And it's hard to do that continually over the 4 quarters, and that's where Charlie got on the end of a few in the last quarters, because he gets so high up the ground. He's such an aerobic beast, Charlie Curnow. He's hard to stop, so he's going to get you at some point, but you just can't afford to give those soft ones away.
It's been an interesting season for the Saints captain, Jack Steele. He's had, I think, 5 games where he's had over 10 tackles or more. Would he be the likely matchup for Paddy Cripps in the middle of the ground?
Yeah, I think we've seen that over the past few years, that the skippers go head-to-head, and Jack Steele's probably had the better of him in the last couple of opportunities they've played against each other. So
does that mean Hewitt to Crouch him? Because Crouch's form over the last couple of weeks has actually been really good as well.
Yeah, well, I think Jack Steele will probably, I reckon, find out Cripper. I reckon he'll probably go to him and try and make it known that he's going to get that run with role, so that might just force Hewitt to go to someone else. And Crouch, as you said, has been playing some really good football, so it might just be the perfect matchup for them.
You touched on Jack Martin when we chatted to Brad Lloyd. He's the player I'm almost most curious about. At his best, he can be a top-line game shaper. At his worst, he can get 3 or 4 touches throughout a quarter and barely be sided.
I think just unfortunately for us as football fans, we just haven't got to see just the continuity of Jack Martin playing football. He's always had his injury concerns. He's only slightly built. He's had his issues with his calves, but he's an absolute freakish talent. I still remember Paddy Cripps saying to me before we got him, he's never seen a better player at a younger age than Jack Martin coming through. He just had the more talent than anyone in that draft period, but he just hasn't had the luck with injury on his side. So thankfully for Carlton fans and for Jack, you're seeing a player getting a week-to-week go. His confidence in his body looks like he's really strong, and he's not just getting the ball inside forward 50 and making the most of it. He gets high up the ground and works hard, really hard back to goal. So he's getting on the defensive end and working hard forward of the football as well. And every time the ball's in his area, he just hits bodies, and he's a one-touch player. And that's what you need when you're in a half-forward flank. You need to make the most of your opportunities, because you're not going to get 30 playing on a half-forward flank. You're going to get 13 to 14. So every time you get the opportunity to get the football, you need to make the most of it.
I disagree with that, Murph. I think I've seen it done.
Anyone in particular, Lids, that comes to mind?
Number 3 in the Tigers outfit, I reckon.
You saw it. It was on the highlights during the week.
That's straight out of the guts.
Yeah, I walked him right into that one. 3-quarter time in Tassie, and it's the Demons who lead by 28 points over North Melbourne. So the Roos led early. Melbourne have fought back after half-time. 14-7-91 to the Kangaroos 9-9-63. So the Demons by 28 points at 3-quarter time, with Eddie Ford with 3 goals for the Kangaroos, alongside Alex Neil-Bullen and Kossie Pickett for the Demons, Christian Petrarca, Jacob Van Rooyen and Kate Chandler with 2 goals for the Demons. So no late changes here at Docklands. Ed Curnow and Liam Stocker are the subs for their respective sides. Matt Clinch and Corbin Mittermast to call the action. Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio are your experts and the captains gathering in the middle of Dockland. So let's take you down to Jess Webster. Jess, it's a sold-out crowd once more. How's it looking around you? Does it look like it's going to represent that amongst the stands?
Yeah, thanks, Clishy. Really great to be here. A great atmosphere building already. As you mentioned, it is deemed a sellout today. We're expecting a crowd somewhere above 40,000. So a lot of fans here at Docklands at the moment, and you think there are going to be in full voice today for what is a really big clash between these two sides. Michael Voss, the Carlton coach, standing in front of me on the interchange. He's coaching his 150th game today. The countdown is on. Looking forward to watching this one unfold from the front row of the stands.
Thanks, Jess. Lockie Fogarty in his 50th game as well for the Blues this afternoon. And the players are about to head out into position. So, Murph and Lids, who are you tipping this afternoon?
Well, I went with the Blues early in the week. I'm going to stick with them. I think they're just on a roll at the moment, and they play with that confidence and flair that they have been of late. Go forward, don't go backwards, and try and chip it around. They'll win today.
Yeah, I've got Carlton. Only just, though. I think that St Kilda's style holds up really well against Carlton. I know they're really strong around the football, St Kilda, so we always say it's won and lost in the midfield. I think if the ball's allowed to move quickly towards Charlie Curnow and Tom Nicotti, I think that St Kilda might be found out. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because I like the way in which both teams are playing at the moment.
So it's set on the big screen. The Saints are heading to the Fraulian. There's no signage here, so that's to the southern end as we see it, the Coventry end. It's a September shaper as fifth takes on seventh. The Saints and the Blues. On ABC Sport, here's Corbin Middlemass.
Crooked bounce from umpire Donlan. He's going to have to recall it. The Saints in their throwback jumpers. They got the white collars on.
I like it.
Usual.
Love the collars.
The usual columns on the jumper. Obviously the red, white and black with the black shorts, and the old dark navy blues are all in white with the navy trim and the outline of the monogram. So restart back in the middle after the anticlimactic opening. Comes to Hollands off the wing. Hand pass to Cripps. Bowled over. Gives it straight up to Steele. Hand pass away to Filippo. He hands it to Burns and he's tackled. Ball up again inside the centre square.
Zach Fisher down half back, which we spoke about earlier.
Sard to Higgins as the umpire throws it back up. Cripps for the Blues. Gets a hand pass forward to Hewitt. Is able to release Fisher through the middle of Docklands. It's a half forward, a half volley for Owies. Trying to get the hand pass away. Burns is in the middle. He's tackled immediately. And the ball is locked up by Cunningham. 40 metres out from the Blues goal.
Would have been a perfect start for Zach Fisher off the half-back flank there, being used on the overlap, but just missed the kick inside 50.
To Koenig and Marshall. Marshall wins down the tap. Brad Crouch clears the congestion with a kick end over end up to the wing. Caminiti scraps for it. He's tackled by Nick Newman. The ball's stuck underneath the two. And the umpire will ball it up on the outer wing.
Looks like it's going to be a high-pressure game, doesn't already? 3 or 4 tackles to start the game, a few stoppages.
No late change. Ed Curnow, Liam Stocker, the two subs. Stocker for the second time against his old team. In his first year with the Saints from the restart. Marshall wins it down. Owens hands it to Crouch. Kicks inside 50. Off hands it. Spills out the back. Kemp there for Carlton. Hand pass to himself. Now dishes it off to Wiedering. Back pocket can get Carlton out of danger. Kicks to half back. It's a good one. And at the drop, Nick Newman takes the mark. Wanted to go in a hurry. Sold Hollands a hot footy. Filippo picks it up for the Saints. He's tackled, thrown off it. Owens, dump kick inside the forward arc. And on the bounce check, Marchbank collected it clean and then fumbles the footy. Coughs it up once more. Higgins hand pass to Steele. Kicks goalward, and on the behind line, Blake Akers takes a sprawling mark, so a few errors. No score for the first 2 minutes.
Feeds the hand pass boundary side to Jacob Wiedering, the vice-captain up towards Martin and Webster. Webster worked his way to the front, just couldn't hang on to the mark. Cottrell dribbles it forward, gathered by Cunningham to the run of Owies. He breaks away and got past Hill. Despite the chase, the kick over the head of Charlie Curnow. Wiedering dropped the mark. Curnow back onto it, can't get a hand pass away. Cordy for the Saints. Hand pass to Brad Hill. Finds an avenue out to right half back, and Battle takes the mark.
Hand pass to the short side to Wanganeen Millerer. Handball away to Sinclair. Short kick down the wing over the intended target. Sard collects. He fumbles. Geez, skill errors, missed targets, fumbles.
Hot game, isn't it? The pressure's right up, and then just that referring of pressure. Everyone's got the fumbles up at the moment.
Yeah, they're dropping the ball when they're clearing out.
So Pitnet started forward. He's just swapped with De Koning alongside Cordy in the forward 50. Thrown in. Pitnet wins down the tap against Marshall to Akers. Hand pass to Hewitt. Nowhere to go. Sinclair lays the tackle. Wood takes it for the Saints. Blazers inside 50. It didn't suit Cooper Sharman or Max King. And the mark is taken by Kemp. Short to Doherty at left half back. A piercing kick to George Hewitt, who marks at left half back. Feeds the hand pass to Doherty. Chips it in the middle of the ground. Cunningham marks. Hand pass to Fisher. Fended off Sinclair. He cuts onto his left-hand side. Up to Charlie Curnow, who marks a long way out from home at left half forward. He wheels onto the right. A centering kick looking for a high flyer. No one's there. Brought down by Battle of the Saints. Still a chance for the Blues. Webster didn't clear it. Martin's putting the pressure on, as is Hollands. It spills down the way of Jack Martin. Tackled. Couldn't get a kick away. On the last line, the Saints eventually clear. The hand pass comes to Callum Wilkie.
He goes wide to Wood, who marks at half back. No score through the first 4 minutes. And Wood, with his long left footer up to Max King, and a 2-on-1, and Wiedering waiting out the back takes the mark. Carlton keep it in their front half. Pulls the trigger into the corridor for Cottrell. Lays a hand pass to Newman. Short kick inside 50 over the head of Owies. Slips out the back to Cordy. St Kilda back with it. Hand pass to Webster. Handball away to Battle. Long kick to half back. Straight to Marchbank. Takes the intercept mark. Heads inside for Carlton. Owies dropping to his knees. Takes the mark. He's got it 40 metres out right half forward.
Well, they've been peppering Carlton at the moment, and I feel that one of the strategies prior to the game from Michael Voss, by looking at the way in which they're playing at the moment, Carlton would have been reward the runner, because every time players run past, they've just given the handball on instinct and creates movement up the ground. It's been exciting to watch.
You mentioned the fumbles, Lids. Surely no one left the roof open last night or something like that.
No, not another complaint.
Jeez. Here's Matt Owies, second up, back from his calf complaint. His set shot is out to the right. It's the first score of the game, but it's a behind. 5 minutes in, the Blues one behind. St Kilda yet to score. Grandstand AFL.
5 inside 50s the 3 the Blues way, as Sinclair looks to come straight back down the middle. Risky kick, spoiled away from Battle. Under pressure. Cordy's tackled by Owies, and the umpire will ball it up. Top of the attacking 50 for the Blues. Carlton with 29 disposals to the Saints 23 early here. De Koning tries to take another ruck. Hand pass knocked away. Cripps is onto it. Swings onto the right-hand side. Fires on goal and misses everything. Out of bounds on the full from the Carlton captain. The Blues still lead by a point. 6 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Just watching that last stoppage, Josh Battle just going back to play on the 2v1 versus Charlie Curnow. So there's always going to be a free round of stoppage for Carlton. They need to make it count.
Battle goes on a trot and then drives the kick up to the wing. There's a whistle on the play. It's a hold, and it's going St Kilda's way. Mitch Owens is going to get it. One of the rising star fancies. What a year he's had. He pokes the pass up to Max King. Do they love him being back the same as with his shoulder strapped? He kicks it long and deep, and Akers getting across to take the intercept mark against his old mob. Top of the defensive goal square for Carlton. Hand pass to Sardos, off and running and bouncing from the back pocket. Long kick to Charlie Curnow on a one-on-one. He's got it. Separation from Battle, takes the mark on the wing. Turns and kicks down to Owies. Got there on the second bounce. Hand pass to Hewitt, goes back by hand to Cripps. Untidy kick down to half forward. Might turn out okay. De Koning collects, stays in bounds. Hooks a kick back inboard. Steele collects though for the Saints. Hand pass away to Owens. Bit off a little too much. Got it to Sinclair in the end, and now to Steele. Half back for St Kilda.
Looks up towards half forward. Sets it towards Sharman. Can't take the mark. Sard was there. Spills to Caminiti. Wood shovels a hand pass forward. No one really to link up with for the Saints, and Fisher works back. Hand pass to Marchbank. Back to Fisher. At left half back. Releases Paddy Dow. He gives the hand pass back to Marchbank. Has to bang it as long as he can. Up towards De Koning. Wrestling with Cordy. Webster flies over the top. And the Saints have it well set up across half-back. He takes the mark and chips inboard to Wanganeen Millerer.
He runs a full 360, turns Cunningham inside out, and then kicks down to Max King. Akers getting back to cover, spoils, but straight down to Wood. His hand pass knocked down. Zach Fisher, who's back in the team today and has been a real spark plug early. They've travelled 7.5 minutes. Carlton with the only score, one behind.
Been played between the arcs, hasn't it? A lot of good defensive pressure from both sides.
Thrown back in. Marshall takes front position against Pitnet. Thought he was held out of it. No whistle. A chance for Owens to try and clear. His hand pass picked off by George Hewitt. Hand pass to Cunningham. Up to Curnow, who marks on his chest, top of the 50. He's got Martin streaming back to goal. The kick is smothered by Cal Wilkie. Ricochets into the middle of the ground. Fisher's onto it. Hand pass to Cunningham at right half forward. Feeds the hand pass to Hollands. Into the pocket. Fogarty, it doesn't get to him. And getting back, Hunter Clark takes the mark. Left back pocket for the Saints. It's the Blues by a point after 8 minutes.
Really ordinary from Charlie Curnow there. I understand you're the Coleman medal winner, but you've got a bloke running back towards goal. Just put it into space. Give him a chance.
Short to Windhager, short along the boundary line to Higgins. Half back for St Kilda. Hand pass back inboard to Windhager. Runs, carries, gives it to Sinclair. Short kick into the front half for Sharman. Defensive side of the logo. Hand pass further forward to Burns between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Marshall down there takes the pack mark. He was running with the flight of the foot. He had to leap into traffic. And as he laid across the front of the pack, rips down the yellow Sharon, he'll have a kick from 30 out straight in front.
Well, this is where he can do some damage. Rowan Marshall on the counter-attack and just running forward. He had Pitney there as his opposing ruckman. So Mark Pitney is going to be really aware of trying to just get goal side of him as much as you possibly can. Just force him into areas of the ground he doesn't want to go, because this is where he's really dangerous.
He's only kicked the 4 goals this year, but he's having an all-Australian season. Rowan Marshall. Drop punt is good. The Saints had the first of the game. It's taken 9.5 minutes. Rowan Marshall kicks the opener. One straight, Carlton one behind. A 5-point lead for the Saints. Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio, Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, you're right. He's having a great year, Rowan Marshall. He went at Blake Acres there, which I found a bit surprising. He went to the Dockers before that, Rowan, in case you forgot. But that's okay. I think both coaches will be...
How's this? I actually saw the pair of them having dinner in South Yarra during the week. so they must be good mates, Marshall and Acres, and he's straight into it.
Yeah, perfect. I don't mind a little bit of byplay, like that sort of stuff. It keeps the theatre up, doesn't it? But I think both coaches will be very comfortable with how they've started. Just like to clean it up going forward a little bit if you're the Michael Voss.
Final quarter action from Tassie. It's the D's holding a 30-point advantage over the Kangaroos. The bounce flares out to the right. Now will be recalled. It's just about time to throw it up.
I think so. Especially here. It happens here more than anywhere.
Controversial one late yesterday in the Bombers and the West Coast Eagles game. Brad Crouch gets the clearance of the Saints. Hand pass to Hunter Clark. Kicks over the head of Butler. Sharman's onto it. Hand pass back to Butler. Into the vacant 50. Shot on goal. Gets there. Just over the fingertips of Kemp. And the Saints with 2 quick goals in a matter of minutes. They open up an 11-point lead early against the Blues. Despite Carlton leading the inside 50s early, 8-6. It's the Saints who lead by 11 points. 2 straight 12 to the Blues, 1 behind.
Well, goal from a centre bounce. It's going to be a really important period this for Carlton to try and wrestle back some momentum. They had a lot of the play so far to start this game, but just going forward of centre, they just haven't been composed enough with ball in hand, and St Kilda have made them pay. Butler and Higgins we've spoken about being the real danger. They're live wires up forward, and they could cause some havoc here for the small defenders of Carlton if they are allowed to play the way in which they are at the moment.
Had a 9-goal first quarter last week, the Saints against Hawthorn. They kicked the first 2 here. Marshall wins the head out, but straight to Paddy Dow. Gets the centre break. Kicks deep to the top of the goal square. Marshall spoils Cordy, his own teammate. Cordy got a play on it, missed his boot with the ball. Spills down towards Windhager. Still with the Saints in their defensive arc. Hand pass tough for Steele. Coughs it up. Blues win it back. Doherty from the pocket, trying to bounce it through like Peter Dacos. Not quite. And it's rushed through by Cal Wilkie with the goal saver. They're behind for the Blues. They have 2 of them. St Kilda have 2 goals. Saints by 10 points after 12 minutes.
Sinclair in short to Cal Wilkie, who takes the mark. Thought about the hand pass back to Sinclair. Called to play on. Moves it to half back where Windhager takes the mark. Still the defensive 50. Looks for options out towards the broadcast wing, and Mason Wood has a couple of metres space on Acres. A couple of designated wingmen. The kick inboard looking for Crouch. It's spoiled away. Jack Martin read it best. He spoils it out of play for a boundary throw in just in front of the St Kilda bench. The Saints 2 straight 12 to the Blues 2 behinds.
Saw Mitch Cleary's story on Jack Martin during the week. So he's been flying on his day off to Queensland and Canberra and getting work on his calf, and basically seeing specialists in every city that he can to try and get it right.
Wasn't across the calf specialists until I saw that story. Pitnet gets it down for the Blues. Hand pass to Paddy Dow. Releases Cunningham. Kicks towards half forward. Martin and Motlop are there. Motlop flew. Martin stayed down. What a hand pass to Paddy Cripps. Almost brought down by Hunter Clark. Hollands with the hand pass back to Cripps. Still can't take it cleanly. Butler provides the pressure with Gresham. It spills out. A chance for Fogarty. Can't break through, and Gresham followed up once more. How slick was that hand pass? And on a couple of occasions, the Saints looked in real problems, if not for their desperation.
Jess, just send the grippo out to Paddy Cripps, can you? Get the bench onto it.
I'll do my best, guys.
For the restart, Caminiti grabs it out of the ruck, kicks in the middle of the ground for St Kilda. Kent hit it up, no mark, spills to Sharman. Hand pass over the top to Higgins. He's got a heap of space in front of him. Dishes it back to Sharman, who keeps on moving. Kicks inside 50. Kick will favour Newman. He's the first one back in front of the behind line. Hand pass away to Fisher. Opposite pocket, kicks out to Akers, and Carlton work it out. Half back for the Blues. St Kilda by 10. Long kick from Akers in front of Motlop and Wood, and it pitches and runs out of bounds. And a boundary throw in front of the benches. Saints by 10.
Interested in that calf specialist. So
flying during the week.
I reckon is that the AIS that he's going to in Canberra? Because I went and saw a guy there who was supposed to renowned as one of the greatest.
Did it help yours?
No.
Thrown back in, Pitnet wins down the tap to Cripps, the Carlton captain, hand pass to Dow, almost brought down by Wood, gets a kick into the middle of the ground, wide of Motlop and Hollands. Hollands pushes off, Burns gathers, hand pass to Chincotta at right half forward. He tries to pull his kick, looking for Owies. It's spoiled away by Cordy, straight into the path of Cottrell, who fires on goal for Carlton's first. He hits the post. 3/4 of the way up the left-hand goal post. And the Blues are peppering, but 3 behinds to the Saints 2 straight 12. 14 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen Jack Martin's calves, they're not the biggest calves going around, so maybe that's why he's having to go get some work on them during the week.
Wanganeen Miller goes short to Wilkie, goes long and wide out to half-back, and here's Mateus Filippo, one of the youngest players drafted last year, still at 18, kicks down the wing, and Max King reaches overhead, pulls it down between wing and half-forward. First game back from that shoulder complaint. Hand pass away to Filippo, contended inside 50, nice. And Higgins marks. Gee, Mateus twice involved in the chain and the delivery straight to Higgins, who marks 40 out left half forward.
Well, just a little bit too easy, that one, Murph, I feel, going down. Wiedering didn't get a play on King as he launched at that footy, but then for Filippo just to run past easy, little step inside. Jack Higgins didn't have any pressure on him either, so we want to clean that up a little bit, the Blues.
So Jack Higgins to have a look on the set shot. Right foot drop punt, sails goalward. It's offline, a behind. St Kilda 2-1, Carlton are 3 behinds. So Saints by 10, 16-minute mark of the opening quarter.
Saad goes very short with his kick in to Chincotta. Gives it back to Saad, who sends it out towards Hewitt at halfback. Rises over the top of Wood. Had Hollands there for support. Swings it around his body up towards Martin. In from the side, Caminiti made a good fist of it and sees it out of play for a boundary throw in front of the 2 benches. Saints 2-1-13 to the Blues 3 behinds. 16 minutes gone, opening term. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Jess Webster down the boundary. Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio, your experts. Caminiti and DeConey into the ruck. DeConey just got rid of Caminiti. Hand pass forward to Cripps, who tries to fend off Wood. Sold him one way and then the other. Cuts back on his left. Kicks inside 50. Martin flies and takes it over the top of Winhager. Jack Martin springing off the turf with those calves and marking out to the left. He'll kick from just outside 50.
Just a bit of individual brilliance there from Patrick Cripps, just going one way, now the other, and then his left foot usually just good for balancing.
Brand new
he
boots.
Actually found one to spin right on that occasion. And Jack Martin just been so pure to watch already this evening. Just so classy with ball in hand, takes a great grab.
3 goals last week against the Magpies. Jack Martin looking to ignite the Blues from 50. Strikes it well. From right to left, does it have the journey? We're going to go upstairs. Ryan Marshall was right on the goal line.
Look good from here. We are a long way away though, Clinchy.
What's your soft call?
Goal.
Thought so.
Ball's touched.
Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, hang on.
Hang on.
That's over the line.
Shot of the camera on the goal post.
That's over the line.
Has it brushed Marshall's fingers while he's over the line.
Is there a gap?
We need a wider angle than that to shine.
That's behind the goal post padding, which would suggest that it's a goal.
Yep.
Let's have a listen.
One before being touched. Decision on the scoreboard.
Wrong.
Yep, you're none from 1 this afternoon, and the behind will be registered. Marshall deemed to be... No.
Yes.
Goal.
Thank you.
Turn it around. Never doubted your lids. And Jack Martin with a long-range goal for the Blues first. Does take a little bit away from the build-up and the result, but we got there eventually. And Carlton 1-3-9, trail the Saints 2-1-13. The Saints leading by 4 points.
It does, but it don't take anything away from the brilliance of Pat Cripps that you spoke about, Murph. But I'm loving the work of Jack Martin at the moment. It was a bit of play last week that the Blues actually highlighted with Ollie Hollands with his wing stuff. But I was watching that game live and saw Jack Martin from one forward flank, and he busted his backside right down to almost to the goal square, and then ended up getting on the end of it. It's that sort of work rate as a high half forward that I haven't seen before from him that I'm seeing now, and he's reaping the rewards.
Cripps has had 8 so far in the opening quarter, 4 clearances, 2 inside 50s and 2 score involvements. 4-point lead for the Saints. Marshall wins it down. Crouch. Hand pass away to Butler coming in off the wing. Look away, hand pass dangerous. Pack forms behind him. Says ball up.
And then he won't get a stat on that either, Patrick Cripps, but hassled 2 and forces another stoppage.
Second game back from Matt Corky. Missed the West Coast game completely. Had 20 last week, 10 tackles, 10 contested touches. From the restart, Crouch. Hand pass to Butler, to Hills. Slings a hand pass out wide for Sinclair. He goes short of his fellow Jack in Higgins. Pokes the pass to the outer corridor for Hill. Says not 15. Dangerous kick. Touched on the way through. Spills to Dow. Trying to release. He coughs it up though to St Kilda and Owens. Owens from high half forward. Kicks it deep inside 50. Man down there. Caminiti. Was he held? Says no. And Wiedering, the man in front, will be paid the intercept mark. Last line of defence for Carlton.
Sends it out to Akers, who marks just inside the field to play it right half back in front of Butler. Jacob Wiedering's confidence sky high, getting back to off support there. Akers at right half back, sends it as long as he can around the wing in the direction of Motlop. No one flew in the end for the Blues. He's caught behind. Battle didn't quite take the mark, but will get the free kick.
They're doing a pretty good job at the moment. St Kilda is slowing up Carlton. They're not really hitting those shorts this week at the moment, Carlton, so the defence has been really strong from St Kilda.
Josh Battle long towards half forward, charging out Caminiti, sported down the way of Higgins, hand pass away to Butler, is able to link up with Gresham, gets the hand pass away to Owens, around the body, inside 50, King can't get a run at it, eventually it's Marshall who spoils it down, Higgins front and centre, hand pass miss Gresham, and it goes out across the boundary line for a throw-in the left forward pocket for the Saints. St Kilda leading by 4 points, 2-1-13 to the Blues 1-3-9.
Stocker and Ed Kerno, the 2 subs. No late change coming in. Boundary throwing to Koning from the back, wins it down. Gresham somehow got it out to Owens. Kicks a dangerous ball to the hot spot. Clean bowls Cottrell. Sits up though for Wiedering. Can just kick it out of the defensive arc. Bouncing footy. Here's Wanganeen Millerer onto it. 70 out. Short pass to Philippou. Broken up. Cottrell again takes the intercept mark. Half back for Carlton.
That was well read by Matt Cottrell then. Just saw that he's going to ping it back inside and just came off his man to get the intercept mark.
Cottrell looks out to the wing, sends into the direction of Jack Martin, sitting in the middle was Winhager, couldn't complete the mark, spills down the way of Fogarty, hand pass to Carlton and Newman, releases Hewitt, hand pass to Martin, looks up towards Charlie Curnow, a beautiful kick, sliding on his knees, he marks it left half forward, a centering ball, he spotted something he likes, Akers takes the mark, unable to get back, Mitch Owens to get a hand to it. And how's the connection between Charlie Curnow, knowing Blake Akers was right there in the corridor?
Well, it was before that. I feel the connection between Jack Martin and Charlie Curnow was the one. It's Charlie, all he had to do was point, and Jack saw the point and just put it out into his space. I like that Charlie didn't wheel around and see the open goal square.
Take a bit more time.
Take a little bit more time. Get to your offside winger playing his role perfectly, Blake Akers.
4 goals for so far this season. For 2 on the trot for the Blues. Akers comes in and steers it through the middle. Carlton hit the front for the first time this afternoon. The Blues by 2 points, 2-3-15 to the Saints 2-1-13. And after the Saints kick the opening 2 goals through Marshall and Butler, the Blues answer back through Martin and Akers. Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio with you on ABC Sport.
Well, it's been a pretty even contest so far today. Both had the 7 clearances. It's been a real battle around that stoppage. But just the class there from Jack Martin and Lid spoke about it, just to see the point from Charlie Curnow. He had the 2v1 then, so if he went long and just banged it as far as he could, that would have just played into St Kilda's hands. So it was a perfect kick out of that stoppage. It was a great releasing handball. I think it was from George Hewitt to see him as well. So it's amazing what that little bit of composure does. Take an extra half a second to find the next teammate.
Celebration too, Murph, just pumping up the crowd in the northeastern corner.
Yep, interesting.
2-point lead for the Baggers. Back in the middle. Gee, Steele taken high, surely. Ump says no.
Was Blake Acres giving it to his old St Kilda fans?
I would have been going straight to Rowan Marshall for a little drive-by.
Both with a goal in the opening quarter here. So 2-point lead for the Blues. Restart back in the middle. Acres spun around in the tackle. Got it to Chincotta. Kicks to Curnow. Can't complete the mark. Trying to compete with Sinclair. Wins the footy anyway. Hand pass out to Hewitt. Goes long. Top of the goal square to Coney, the target. Spills front and centre. Hollands collects. He's tackled by Wood. Wood holds him up. And a ball up top of the goal square for the Blues. 2-3 to 2-1. Couple of lead changes at the opening quarter. 24 minutes in. Carlton by 2.
Tossed up, Marshall and DeConing, spills down the way of Battle, can't get a disposal. Sinclair's hand pass straight towards Cottrell, taps it down to Hollands, hand pass to Fisher, around the body towards the teeth of goal. DeConing's there, he can't get a run at it. And Cordy takes the mark for the Saints. Around the back to Crouch, hand pass to Butler, fended off the tackle of Acres, works it to left half back. Quickly the hand pass to Higgins, back to Crouch, up the wing, couldn't quite get it to King, who's outnumbered 2-on-1. And Kemp provided the good support for Wiedering. And the vice-captain takes the mark on the wing.
Now, it's good defence then from Carlton. A quick play coming out of D50, able to zone up and cover an outlet and get the intercept mark.
Wiedering to Marchbank to Hollands inside the centre square. Comes wide to Cottrell, who marks forward of the wing. Just chips it to Charlie Curnow.
He's working high up the flanks, isn't he, Charlie Curnow?
Got it again here outside the forward 50. He can dump it deep inside for the Blues now. DeConing, the target, slides past him and through for a behind. And put that down off the boot of Charlie Curnow. Blues lead grows. They're up by 3 points. 2-4 to 2-1, 25 minutes in.
15 to 10, the inside 50 is the Blues way as Sinclair goes short and finds Brad Hill back into the lineup this afternoon alongside Max King. Sends it long into the middle of the ground. Owens will fly. Sharman at the back. It gets to the very back where Gresham gets the hand pass away. Wood pulls his kick looking for Max King. Can't gather. Doherty tries to pressure him out of it. Hollands comes racing in. He's locked up. Good pressure from the Blues just as the Saints look like they're about to burst forward. The ball up just inside 50 for the Saints. Carlton by 3 points.
The umpire's waiting a long time before designating the rucks. It's going to be Pitternet and Owens, and Pitternet reaching over the back wins it down to Newman. Quick kick out of the defensive arc, finds Martin for the Blues on the wing, eventually grabs it, plows his way through. Burns got a hand pass out, kick comes down the wing for the Blues but slides out of play off the boot of Ollie Hollands. And a boundary throw in, and Jack Martin in a real purple patch hits the bench and gets some warm applause.
Just stands out, doesn't he? Just how clean he is with the ball in hand and just attacks the footy so ferociously as well.
It's probably the best, 8 weeks of his career?
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Last 2 months that he's had. Blues by 3 points, 26 minutes in.
D's are home in Tassie, 15-13, 103 to North Melbourne, 10-11, 71. A few minutes ago in that contest, but the Demons to draw level with Port Adelaide. Marshall wins down the tap for the Saints. Dow tries to extract the footy. Nowhere to go. Clark lays the tackle. Gets some good support and the ball's locked up on the wing. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Yeah, we had a moment just earlier. Mason Wood was down behind play in the hands of the trainers after Martin landed on him heavily. The doctors are just having a look at the vision now, obviously not taking any chances.
Thanks, Jess. Doherty tried to run the gauntlet, couldn't get through. He's tackled and pinged holding the footy. And Brad Hill takes it for the Saints at halfback. Kicks up the wing to Hunter Clark. Marks between wing and half forward. Max King leads up at him. He honours that lead and spots him up. Still 2 kicks out from goal. The St Kilda key forward back in the lineup. One stage didn't look like he'd return. Gets the hand pass away to Clark and back to Max King. Out to Burns at right half forward. Trying to cut back onto his left-hand side. A centering kick. Cooper Sharman flies. Can't take the mark. Right there with him was Marchbank. It's stuck underneath Gresham and a couple of others. Big Rowan Marshall coming over the top to lock it up. Inside forward 50 for the Saints. It's the Blues by 3 points.
Up it goes. Hot spot for the Saints. Comes down to Gresham. He's tackled straight away as well. Saints with the first 2. Blues with the last 2. Into the 28th minute of this opening quarter from the restart. Fisher jams it on the boot. High up and under out wide. Pitches just inside the field of play and now goes out. Touched over by Wood and Hollands. And Jess mentioned the vision being looked at. We've seen it a couple of times this week. Of course, competition on high alert after the concussion protocols weren't followed correctly last week in that showdown between the Power and the Crows. A couple of players this year been called in for a head injury assessment after the replay's been looked at and failed subsequently, including 2 on Friday night. From the boundary throw-in, Fisher, another quick kick forward for the Blues. Cunningham can't trap it, spills to Sinclair of the Saints. Hand pass to Wanganeen Miller, gives it to Hill. Handball to Owens, cuts back into the corridor. Hand pass away to Clark. Oh, big heavy collision. Kemp and Sinclair bang bodies. Blues win the footy. Kemp to Dow. His kick a turnover back to Sinclair. Looks inside the forward arc. And an easy mark taken by Jack Higgins. He's got it 30 metres out straight in front.
Good football all around there. It was Brody Kemp who came forward and had a huge collision with Jack Sinclair. The ball bobbled around and ends up finding its way back into Jack's hands, and just had the ability and the composure to see another player after a big hit and hit that one inside 50. Great disposal.
Just about be the last kick of the opening quarter as the Blues support staff walk the boundary line beneath us. Jack Higgins kicks good. It's his first, and he turns the lead around. St Kilda by 3 points. Half-hour mark opening quarter. With just a couple of ticks on the clock left in the term. The Saints 3-1-19, Carlton 2-4-16, Grandstand AFL. Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio.
Yeah, it was a fantastic kick there from Jack Sinclair, wasn't it? It's always an interesting one when you see a player get really hit hard after that. Can he retain his composure? Because most of the time you feel like, I'm under pressure. I've just got to bang this one forward. Fortunately for the Saints and for Jack Higgins, who'd done his work, he just composed. Nice, easy little kick inside. Really underrated, probably not underrated. We just don't see enough of him in Jack Sinclair. His ability to fly on the footy and use it off half-back or even in the midfield when he gets injected in there is first class.
Brett Delidio with you on ABC Sport. Almost at quarter time. Marshall wins down the tap. Clark can't get a disposal away. He was tackled by Cunningham. No whistle. Fisher's hand pass out to Hewitt. As the siren sounds for quarter time. Quarter in which the Blues dominated in patches, but it's the Saints who are able to finish in front at the quarter time siren. 3-1-19 to the Blues 2-4-16. The inside 50s in the end the way of the Blues 15-13. The tackles away of the Saints 25-16. The goal scorers for the Saints, Butler, Marshall and Higgins. Meanwhile for the Blues, Akers and Martin. St Kilda leading by 3 points at quarter time. Full time in Tassie. The Demons jump up to second spot on the AFL ladder. A 32-point victory over North Melbourne. 15-13, 103 to the Roos, 10-11, 71. So after a slow start for the Demons, with North Melbourne able to lead the scoring in the opening term with 5 of the first 6 goals of the match, Melbourne were able to fight back in the second half and take second spot from Port Adelaide on the AFL ladder with a better percentage. Alex Neil-Bullen with 3 goals, Kate Chandler with 3, Cossie Pickett with 3. Meanwhile, Eddie Ford booted 3 for the Kangaroos. 2 goals to Petrarca and Van Rooyen alongside Harrison Petty. So the Demons with an all-important win. Their 14th of the season to jump up to second on the AFL ladder, 2 games behind Collingwood. With the news breaking this morning that Nick Dacos is out for the next 6 weeks and Nathan Murphy out for the next 3. If you want to let us know where you're listening from and your thoughts across the Sunday afternoon of footy, of course, there's still a game to come from Perth, the final match of the weekend's footy. As the Fremantle Dockers host the Brisbane Lions, we'll take you there from the second half. You can get in touch with us, 0437 774 774. 0437 774 774. If you've got a thought or two or want to let us know where you're listening from on this Sunday afternoon. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
You'll always find top drama on ABC iView.
Tell me what you got.
Always intriguing with The Messenger and Smother.
I don't know who to trust anymore. People think I'm a psycho.
Always dramatic with Vandervalk and In Our Blood.
She really doesn't like you. The world needs beautiful things right now.
And always different with In Limbo, Bay of Fires, and so much more.
I'm back for an encore.
A surprise holiday.
You'll always find the best drama.
Happy.
Streaming for free on ABC iView. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Sharman, defensive side of the logo. Hand pass further forward to Burns between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Marshall down there takes the back mark. Rowan Marshall. Drop punt is good.
The Saints have the first of the game.
Now pass to Hunter Clark, kicks over the head of Butler. Sharman's onto it. Hand pass back to Butler. Into the vacant 50. Shot on goal. Gets there. Just over the fingertips of Kemp. And the Saints with 2 quick goals in a matter of minutes. Newman releases Hewitt. Hand pass to Martin. Looks up towards Charlie Curnow. A beautiful kick. Sliding on his knees. He marks it left half forward. A centering ball. He spotted something he likes. Akers takes the mark. For 2 on the trot for the Blues. Akers comes in and steers it through the middle. Carlton hit the front for the first time this afternoon.
Kemp to Dow. His kick and turnover back to Sinclair. Looks inside the forward arc. And an easy mark taken by Jack Higgins. He's got it 30 metres out straight in front. Jack Higgins kicks good. It's his first. And he turns the lead around.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Saints by 3 points at quarter time at Docklands. 3-1-19 to the Blues. 2-4-16 for Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Matt Klitsch and Corbin Minimas call the action. Jess Webster down the boundary. The thoughts of Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport.
It's a nice tight game at the moment, Murph, isn't it? And a lot of pressure. I think what I've been impressed with is the Blues are really looking to, I think you said in that first quarter, trying to reward the runner to not allow the Saints to get set up behind the footy. We're seeing the Saints drop one back in front of Charlie Curnow. That's why we're seeing him hit up on the flanks, really trying to get on his bike to be that guy delivering it in rather than being the one who's always been kicked to. But, the Saints are applying a lot of pressure. They've had, 25 tackles, I think, up to 17 already. They've got a real focus on trying to, bring it in close and keep it in tight and not allow the Blues to get their game up and go and get on the outside. But, if not for a little bit of errant kicking, I think the Blues, I feel like they're in control of this game a little bit more than the Saints. They've got them a couple of times on the counter-punch. But, the Saints and Ross Lyon would certainly be pretty pleased with the way they've settled into this game and made the most of their opportunities.
Yeah, they would be St Kilda. I think they've been really good around the contest. Carlton are still winning the clearances 12-8, but the tackling pressure and harassment from St Kilda has been first class, and probably same as Carlton. They've been really strong both sides around the contest. But then I think the defensive zone from both teams has held up really well so far. I think if Carlton had a bit more composure going inside 50, they probably would have found themselves ahead on the scoreboard, but they've probably just let that little bit of polish on that last kick going inside 50. I've been impressed by Zach Fisher off a half-back flank. He's had the 11 disposals so far.
Been good.
He's probably not going to play a really defensive game down there, but St Kilda are getting the +1 from probably a winger who's coming down to support in front of Charlie Curnow. So there's going to be opportunities if they do use the ball well enough, Carl, that they can find the frees outside of that. So they're still going to have to be pretty smart with the way in which they use the football, which they have been so far, but it's more just about their polish rather than the decision so far going inside 50. But I think, as you said, Lids, I think they are in control of the game at the moment, Carlton, but St Kilda, to their credit, have been really strong so far as well.
If Patrick Cripps has had 8 disposals, how many of those would you think that would have been contested?
7.
1. Isn't that incredible? He's been on the outside so far this game, but he's had the 4 clearances, so he's been on the move and getting through on the outside there.
It's amazing he's had 4 clearances and had 1 contested possession.
I know. Yeah. So he's obviously getting, as I said, on the outside that initial bubble.
And he called for the grippo in that opening quarter for him. Saints lead by 3 points. Into the second quarter we go. Brad Crouch gets the clearance, feeds the hand pass away to Mitch Owens. High kick towards half forward. No one there for the Saints. And Nick Newman charging back is able to take an uncontested mark. Looks centrally. Centre half back, he spots up Sard, whose intention is to run. He takes a bounce through the middle of Docklands. Now a second, looks up towards half forward, kicks looking for Jack Martin. Great mark, lunging forward in front of Webster. He marks it left half forward. Carlton fans hoping they're about to see the best of Jack Martin. He looks to poke a kick down low, and Cunningham takes the mark. Right on 50.
Well, great run from Adam Sard, but why wouldn't you go in Jack Martin's direction at the moment? Just looks so strong in the contest. Great 1v1 player. And then just a great ball use going inside 50 to David Cunningham.
In his 7th game for the season, 4 goals, 1. He's had a long run with injuries. Kicks up towards Charlie Curnow. Top of the goal square. Wilkie gathers. Hand passes towards the boundary line. Cordy was there in front of Curnow, who has arms outstretched. Just asking the question of the boundary umpires. So the ball went straight to the boundary line. A throw in the right forward pocket for the Blues. They trail by 3 points.
From the boundary throw-in, Marshall wins it down. Cripps is involved. Ball spills to Dow. Just somehow got it out to Cripps, trying to whack it forward on the behind line. Deep forward for the Blues. Gives it to Owies. Hand pass to Dow. Swings his kick from one pocket to the other. Wood, courageous, can't complete the mark. Burrowing in for it is Martin. He went without it and picked up by Webster of the Saints. Hand pass to Higgins, back to Webster, a fumble. Loose footy, half forward for the Blues. Doherty jumps on top of it. They set on him, holding the ball to call, and a free kick for the Saints at half back.
Yeah, red hot, but if you go to ground and you're in possession of the football, fair enough being pinged.
Crouch will give it to Hill, still at half back for the Saints.
Has to get around Doherty, gives the hand pass back to Brad Hill. Kicks up the wing on full lead. Unable to take the mark was Caminiti, but had the arms chopped by Caleb Marchbank. Ball will be returned to him, centre wing on the outer side. Saints leading by 3 points. Caminiti looks along towards half forward, sends it in the direction of King. He flies with Mitch Owens in front. And Owens takes an impressive mark in from stage left. Looks inside 50. King on the lead of Marshall. Marshall flies, can't come down with the footy. Had it a long time. Filippo centering hand pass, doesn't get to King. Hollins is in there, gathers for the Blues. Hand pass to Marchbank, links up with Cripps to Jack Martin casually. Gets it back to Marchbank. He's tackled by Hill. Gets it back to Jack Martin at halfback. To Koning with a bit more time and composure. To Kemp, straight towards the boundary line. We know how the umpires see these. Throw in.
Come on, Clinchy.
I'm out of the game. I'm 0 from 2 today.
Yeah,
that was a shank.
That was a shank, yeah.
Normally if they go straight to the boundary, they don't hesitate.
No, Ollie Hollins was on the back pattern there. I can see why the umpire didn't play that one.
Okay.
Red hot pressure out there at the moment.
Yeah.
Saints by 3. Marshall wins the hit out, then follows up with the tackle on Hollins. Ball jump free. Here's Owens, collects for the Saints. Look away, hand pass to Hill, just paddles it along the 50. Doherty collects. Defensive arc for Carlton. Hurried kick out of the 50. Marshall's there to pick it off. Mark 60 out for the Saints. 3 minutes into this second term. He's looking into the forward pocket, wants to give King a go at it. Checked his kick late and turns it straight over to Pitternet. Takes the intercept mark for Carlton. Full time in Hobart, a 32-point win for Melbourne, so a near 11-goal swing in the game from 33 down to win by 32, the D's. Hands it to Newman, goes long to halfback, to Koning to target. In a wrestle with Marshall, Cunningham went to throw the ball to Koning to hit the deck. Marshall goes and picks it up. Says it's all okay, so between wing and half forward and the Saints can reload. Long kick inside the forward 50. Pitternet getting across, no mark. King picks it off. Hand pass to Crouch. Snaps goalward. Crouch has got it. Saints out by 9. And Brad Crouch, after his goal-scoring binge last week, he picks up where he left off. The career-high 3 against the Hawks. He's got one early in the second here. St Kilda by 9, 4-1 to 2-4.
Oh, how good's his pressure been early to start the second quarter? I feel like that might have just... So can we just dial it up a little bit more? The coaching staff of the Saints, they've been relentless. The Blues have not had a spare player to give it off, to get some fresh air, to try and use the footy. Everyone's been under the pump. We've seen some hack kicks around the corner because of that. And Marshall's just camping out here at centre-half back. Or on the centre half forward for the Saints, and marking everything, launching it back in there. Great pressure, great crumb. Good handball out, one on King. Brad Crouch on his goal kicking ways, as you called, Corby. Like goal kicking mids.
Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Pitnet and Marshall. Pitnet wins down the tap, looking for Dow. Marshall's back onto it though for the Saints. Kicks towards half forward. Butler's outmanoeuvred and Nick Newman takes the mark. At centre-half back for the Blues. He thought about heading out towards Marchbank, changes his mind, swings out to Kemp at right-half back, dropped the mark, but enough time to regather to Doherty. Caminiti off at the chase, forced the turnover. Crouch sockers it forward, back to Caminiti, over the top. Higgins gathers, trying to get a pass Sard, up to King, can't gather. Nick Newman races back, he knocks it out of the hands of Hill. Marchbank over it for the Blues, too slow as Butler lays the tackle, holding the footy. As Brad Hill gathered and Fisher laid the tackle, but Ray Chamberlain had blown his whistle. And the tackle of Dan Butler is going to be rewarded. In the left forward pocket, only about 25-30 metres out from goal.
Yeah, fantastic tackle pressure again. Just what we highlighted. And this guy's made, his game has been based on this over the last 3 or 4 years in particular, maybe more. His ability just to continue to hunt the opposition, drag him down. Once he gets in his clasp, yep. He doesn't let you go.
The fourth highest tackling player inside forward 50, Dan Butler. And gets reward for a lot of his pressure. Steps out and snaps across his body for his second in celebration with the St Kilda fans. As the Saints put on the opening 2 goals of the second quarter. The last 3 goals of the match to lead by 15 points as Butler puts through his second. The Saints 2-1-31 to the Blues 2-4-16. 6 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport.
Well, we all thought the first quarter was red hot with pressure, but it's just gone up another level, hasn't it, so far? And St Kilda have certainly come out in this second quarter and really wanted to make a statement with their pressure and harassment around the football. He got through one tackle then, Caleb Marchbank, but he wasn't going to get through the second.
You just need to be a bit quicker, didn't he? It's like, mate, you're in defensive 30. You're probably not just going to waltz out of there. Get the ball moving.
There's just no time and space to use the football at the moment, so especially when you're in your D50, you need to get the ball on your foot, but you still don't have composure, but then you just still need to get the ball out of the area when you're in trouble.
15-point lead for St Kilda. It's a game high back in the middle of the ground. Marshall wins the hit out down to Cripps, though, with the Blues. Kick out wide to half forward. Cottrell collects 55 from home, pokes the pass inside 50, and Sinclair couples across to take the intercept mark. Actually grew up a Carlton fan, Jack Sinclair. Kicks along the boundary line to Wood. He marks defensive side of the wing. Wood, low trajectory drop punt, turnover straight to Sard. Takes the intercept mark for the Blues. Short kick to Akers, trying to draw the man on the mark. Umpire's not buying any of that. And Akers now on the City wing. And load up and kick long down to half forward. Battle leaves his man, comes and takes an easy intercept.
No, just playing into the hands there with St Kilda. They need to move the ball quick on turnover. Just too slow, and then just to bang it long to the spares. It's not going to work.
Saints have kicked the last 3 in the game after falling behind. A 15-point lead. Long kick to the wing. Whacked away at the back by the Blues in Marchbank. Still a footy to be won on the wing. Akers goes, collects, fumbles, left it behind. Cripps hands it to Marchbank. He fumbles too. Pack forms behind him. The Blues work it out. Hewitt to Akers. Hand pass away to Newman. High up and under, down to half forward. Battle at the drop. Spills the mark. Charlie Curnow invited in. Grabs the footy. Took on the tackle and lost, holding the ball.
Clark to Hill, works it forward to Gresham. They're on the run here. Sinclair looks up. Butler's all on his own. 20 metres clear. He can poke it over the top and King will mark. How did Dan Butler get so much space? As the Saints emerge from centre-half back. And Max King with a chance to get on the board here. He's only about 15 metres out. He's going to snap across his body, steps out, curls it through. The Saints are on the march here. 3 goals to none, the last 4 goals of the match. And they lead by 21 points. 6-1-37 to the Blues, 2-4-16. 10 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. You're Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy.
Well, you can see the difference with speed off turnover, can't you, Murph? And that's where Carlton, they got it back. You know, a lace-out pass from Mason Wood to Adam Saar, but
that's when you got to go bang and go straight back at them.
Well, he did. He kicked it on to Akers really quickly, but then he runs past. Akers refused. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go long. Whereas you see the Saints, that was a risky handball, that big loopy one over the top, but it's all right when you've got players that are going to buy in and run on, and that's where you see Jack Sinclair, which creates the instability.
It forces the decision up the ground for the defenders whether or not to press or not.
100%.
And unfortunately, Chincotta then pressed when he probably shouldn't, and Butler gets the rewards out the back.
3 lead changes in the opening quarter, and yet in this second term it's been all St Kilda. As Clinchy said, last 4 goals of the game. 3 unanswered goals in this quarter alone. Out of the middle, kick goes wide to Wood, marks on the wing, pokes it to centre half forward for Clark, kicks inside 50, turnover. And Hewitt stands in the hole, takes the intercept mark for the Blues. Now he takes a step off his line and told to go. Told to hurry up, hand pass to Newman, back to Hewitt. Still on the back flank for the Blues, kicks to a one-on-one on the wing, and Cunningham good enough to win it. Edges Wood underneath the footy, takes the mark, city boundary line for the Blues. Saints by 21, 10 into the second.
Comes inboard to Akers, who drives it long towards half forward. Curnow caught behind, flies against 2. Webster and Cordy bring it down. Hand pass from Winhager to Wilkie's kick was smothered. Lunges back after it with Fogarty. Still a chance for the Saints on half-back. Unable to gather, though, as the reinforcements arrive. Mark Pitnet's over the top of the footy. Wilkie trying to knock it out. Umpire's letting it go a long time and eventually will blow the whistle. Left half forward for the Blues. Inside 50s in this quarter, heavily the Saints' way. No surprise there. 7-4 as the umpire throws it up, top of the 50. for the Blues. Hunter Clark can't clear the congestion. A chance for Nick Newman. Gathers, sends the Blues deep inside 50. Curnow flies in front of Wilkie, can't take the mark. Motlop, clean pickup, tackled immediately. Great second up follow from Cal Wilkie to lock the ball in the left forward pocket for the Blues. St Kilda by 21 points.
From the restart, comes down to the Blues, and we'll have the ball up again as Doherty's tackled immediately. Left forward pocket, Coventry into the ground. De Koning wins the hit out. Fogarty tries to stand up with a footy. He's tackled and he'll do it all again. Deep forward for Carlton. Yet to kick one in this quarter. They kicked only 2 goals. They came in the space of 4 minutes in that opening term. It's going to be the 4th time we're going to have a stoppage in the same spot as the ruckman pump it straight down to Doherty.
Just very stagnant and get on the move and just change a few matchups, do something a little bit different. It's not really on the move at the moment, Carlton.
Jack Steele locks him up. Umpire throws it in the air again. De Koning grabs it out of the ruck. Can't, then fumbles, spills to Clark, jams it on the boot forward. Butler takes the mark. Says it's not 15. Now he's tackled. We got another stoppage. Half forward. 50-metre arc for the Blues. Saints lead the game by 21.
Marshall tried to take it to the ruck against De Koning. Wood with the hand pass away to Crouch. At half-back, kicks up to the wing. Kemp in front of Caminiti. Can't take the mark. Caminiti back onto it after it hit the deck. Trying to lock up Kemp, who can't knock it clear. Butler through traffic. Composed, but couldn't link up with Filippo, who tries to go back in there for the Saints. Gets it to Caminiti. Can't hack a kick away from the congestion. Chincotta gets it to Doherty. To Hewitt and ran into a dead end. Hunter Clark with a big tackle. Butler takes it back. It's ferocious from both sides. He's tackled. Blues take the advantage. Chincotta kicks up inside 50. Curnow's against 2. Flying in front. Battle was held. He'll get the free kick. The Saints might take the advantage. Wilkie provided good support. And Woods kick around the boundary line. Left Crouch a bit to do. Gets it back to Mason Wood. Hard against the boundary. It trickles out. In front of Caminiti and Kemp. It's so ferocious. There's barely a moment to hesitate. And the umpires are rewarding good tackling this afternoon. The Saints lead by 21 points.
7 scoring shots to 6. St Kilda 1 ahead in that category, but 21 ahead in the game. From the boundary throw in, Pitternet palms it down to Akers. Hand pass to Cottrell. His bullet hand pass spills up a few bodies, and then eventually Newman clean, picks it up, kicks down to half forward. Webster reads it best. Edges Motlop underneath the footy, takes the intercept mark for the Saints. Swings it from one back flank to the other. Burns onto it. Hurried kick out to half back. Hard one to trap to Sinclair. Cottrell clever. Paddles it out to Dow at half forward. Has to take on Cordy. Got it out. Cottrell onto it. Still 70 from home. Hand pass to Chincotta for the Blues. He runs straight past Sinclair. Kicks it deep to the top of the goal square. Getting back Wilkie. The wall of Wilkie takes the intercept mark for St Kilda and immediately moves it to Wood in the back pocket.
He goes short to Clark. Had to wait for a moment. Claims the mark in front of Sam Doherty. Saints are the only 3 goals so far of this second quarter. And short to Mason Wood. Playing career best footy under Ross Lyon. He spears it back to Cal Wilkie, who marks in the left back pocket. Looks to the broadcast wing. Puts it out in front of Brad Hill. Gathers. Hand pass to Burns. Squeeze the kick forward. Wanganeen Miller marks. They've done this well from half back to half forward. And Butler now marks. Has Wanganeen Miller running boundary side. He ignores him. Drives it long. Good option in the direction of Caminiti or Marshall. Neither can take the mark. A chance here. Marchbank's onto it for the Blues. Hand pass to Kemp. Short clearing kick to Wiedering, who's sliding on his knees. Marks in the right back pocket for Carlton. Saints by 21 points.
They're picking apart at the moment, St Kilda. They're getting the +1 in defence. So whoever's playing on that defender from Carlton needs to make sure he's manning him up. Can't allow the intercept marks.
Wiedering to Hollands, goes long down the wing, and in the end it's knocked out of play by Cordy off the body of Curnow, and we'll have a throw in.
They've just been out-coached, if you ask me. I feel like they're missing a trick. You need to get that person down there to equalise. It's playing into St Kilda's hands. Their pressure's too good around the stoppage, forcing dumb kicks. They're marking it, turning it over and igniting their game.
For the boundary throw in, Pitternet. The double fister just pumps it forward. Loose footy on the wing. Wanganeen Miller onto it. Hand pass away to Clark. Back to Wanganeen Miller. Lifts a hand pass to Steele. He's in trouble. Tackled out of play by Pitternet. Drilled into the ground as well. The ump says spin it in. Just elaborate on that, Lid. So you'd be, sending a player down there to man that up?
Well, they're allowing them just to get that battle just to sit by himself. So where's the forward who's coming off there?
The free's up in the stoppage here.
So they're wanting to send one up, which they don't need.
Go and equalise.
Send him forward. 6-6-6.
They were playing either Pitnet or De Koning forward, but they're going to the bench now, the second ruck. Dow trying to volley a kick forward, a free kick for a hold. It's coming back and it's going to be a St Kilda free kick.
He's pointing the wrong way, has he?
Well, Carlton fans aren't all that.
Yeah, he's pointing the wrong way.
Umpire. He has. It's not quite the unforced error you want. The free kick's the other way, the Saints 8-2. So one back the other way for the Blues as Paddy Dow sends it towards half forward. Charlie Curnow can't get a run at it. Josh Battle right on cue. He's sitting right in that spot in front of Charlie Curnow and takes another intercept mark. Battle short to Wanganeen Millera. He's going to go back inside the defensive 50 to Cal Wilkie. In fact, to Jimmy Webster, 15 metres out from his defensive goal. Picks a short option to Hill and now can work it to Wilkie, who's just lurking across half-back, still inside the defensive 50.
So Wilkie and Battle, I think it is, they're swapping on Charlie Curnow. So the other forward for Carlton needs to know who he is playing on and try and engage him when the ball coming forward.
Wilkie to the outer side wing. Mason Wood, good mark. Kicks up towards Higgins. He's outmanoeuvred and the mark taken by Jacob Wiedering of the Blues. Quickly to Marchbank. Back up the wing. He marks defensive side of the outer wing with the Saints leading by 21 points. 17 minutes gone, second term.
Goes back to Kemp and Kemp to Fisher, who's played in defence, as we've seen in the twos in recent weeks. Back in the side today. Goes on a bit of a run. Kicks through the centre square. Finds Hewitt. Hewitt kicks out further wide, wants the Brownlow medalist, hands to it from Cripps, can't complete the mark, pressure from Wood, closed down, didn't get a Shepherd, now he's in trouble, hand pass goes back to Marchbank, G's driven to the ground in the tackle, footy comes out the Saints' way, Wood picks it up, blazes away going forward, kicks it straight to Wiedering, Blues can reload, comes back to Kemp, Kemp goes straight down the pipe, short kick to Fisher, hands it back to Kemp. Now the inside 50 for the Blues. Battle in the box seat again. Getting across, Wilkie spoils. This gives the Blues half a chance. Martin, hand pass to Dowd. Surge kick forward and Motlop marks. Gee, that was good luck as much as anything for the Blues. It looked as if Battle was queuing up leads for another intercept mark, and now Motlop's got a set shot 15 out.
You're spot on, Corbin. There was no real method in that. They got lucky then, Carlton, because it was a bit of a shank kick that just fell in the lap of Jack Martin, and then it was just another hack kick forward from Dow, and Jesse Motlop finds himself at the end of it.
It's had a quiet start so far. Jesse Motlop with a famous number 3 on his back. He moves in and pops it through against the flow. One Carlton badly needed. St Kilda by 15, 6-1-37. The Blues 3-4-22, 19 gone, second term.
Well, I'm going to keep a close eye now to see who that forward is that's coming up the stoppage. I had a feeling it's Cunningham, who I saw in the last stoppage. He's down there in the forward line at the moment. You just can't afford to continue to get up. I know you're trying to generate some ball and get involved in the play, and that might be the instruction from the coaches, but if it's not working, and Charlie Curnow will be going bunter if he's down there, because Battle at the moment is just sitting, right in front of him, chopping off just about everything. And you can see Charlie's getting frustrated, starting to chop the arms a little bit, trying to run through. He's trying to create a contest, which is what you expect. But at the moment, they need to keep that equalised at 6-6-6. Allow your forwards to do their work.
Brett Delidio with you on ABC Sport. Earlier, Melbourne 32-point winners over North Melbourne to jump to second on the AFL ladder. Paddy Dow gets the clearance for the Blues. Kicks to the outer wing. Out in front of Hollands. He races after it with Wood after him. Wood gets there. Little toe poke towards the boundary. And the umpire calls for a boundary throw in. Saints leading by 15 points.
It's Matt Owies at the moment who's got Battle standing next to him, so he needs to try and stand in some dangerous space and try and engage him when the ball comes in. I think Jack Martin now has realised what's happening and the change of matchups occurred.
Marshall and De Koning tangle. De Koning won it down, but straight to Owens. Kicks towards half forward. Missing it was Chincotter. He goes back in and eventually wins it. Hand pass to Kemp. Off the outside of the boot. Chips it out to Hollands. He marks in front of Steele. Hold of the jumper. He didn't quite complete the mark. And he'll take the free kick at left half back. Ollie Hollands playing his 14th game of the season.
Goes long to a contest on the wing. In the end, no one flew for it, and the reason for that is De Koning had his arms held in the marking contest, according to the umpire. New 2-year deal for him through to the end of 2025. Tom De Koning loads up, long kick to half forward. Hands on it. No mark, though, for Curnow. Hits the deck. Picked up by Cunningham. He's tackled by Wilkie. Ball up centre half forward for the Blues. 15-point lead for the Saints. They got it out by as many as 21. The umpire chucks it up. De Koning reaching over the back, wins it down, but straight to Crouch. Hurried kick forward for the Saints. Hitting up is Sharman, can't quite trap it, spills to Gresham, off his knees, got a hand pass out to Ward, he kicks wide for Caminiti, and Saad does well, he manages to affect the mark, force the ball out of play, and we got a neutral ball scenario, boundary throw in halfway. City wing, Saints by 15.
Yeah, he did really well then, Adam Saad, just to get a body line him, just to force him off, bit of balance and force the error.
Contested possessions in this quarter, the way of the Saints, 25-18 as it's thrown back in. Marshall tries to knock it down, spills down the way of Cunningham of the Blues. Hand pass to Cripps to Dow, over the top to Owies at half forward, had to get past Winhager, couldn't get a leaking hand pass away, and Steele races back for the Saints. Hand pass to Crouch, links up with Sinclair to Wood at right half back, around the wing for Hill, good smother, lunging forward Fisher. He was a leading disposal getter in that opening term with 11 disposals, a crucial smother there to see it out of play. Saints leading by 15 points, 22 minutes gone, second term.
Kick 4 in a row at one point, the Saints, either side of quarter time. The two rucks lock up again for the boundary throw in. Marshall, first hands on the footy, Pack forms at his feet. Hewitt tries to stand up with a footy, he's taken the ground again, and another ball up. Listed as a sellout, no more general admin tickets. There are a few spaces, it must be said, in the outer. Perhaps not all the members rolling up, and those in the medallion club beneath us from the restart. Comes down to Hollands, hand pass back into dispute. Hewitt bangs into Crouch. Still the ball doesn't come out. Dow had a play on it and was held without it, said the umpire. Touched the footy and he lost the handle, and the tackle followed through, and Dow dishes off a handball to the run of Fisher. He spills it. Turnover. St Kilda back on the footy. Bending down to pick it up, Caminiti gives it to Butler. Short kick forward to Higgins. Still in a phone booth. Handball away to Hill. He can kick longer afield. It's a good option. Phillippo marks.
No, don't turn your back.
35 out, true centre half forward for the Saints. He wanted the kick and he's going to take it.
Yeah, it was great composure from Brad Hill.
Yeah,
his ability just to stop and not to actually rush and just blaze away, because it would have fallen into the hands of the Carlton players. But young Mateus Phillippo, I'll be surprised if that doesn't get brought up in terms of just turn your back on goal. Jake Gresham had plenty of space.
This is what he wanted when he was drafted, the big-time moments. Phillippo delivers. It's looking like a St Kilda kind of game. The Saints back out by a game high, 21. 24 gone in the second term. And a little worrying for the Carlton faithful, 7-1 to 3-4. Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio, Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, it was an important goal then from St Kilda, because Carlton was certainly coming. Momentum you could feel was starting to shift a little bit, but it was a skill error from Zach Fisher, who ran past Paddy Dow from a free kick awarded on the far wing, but just a fumble just opened up the door for St Kilda to get them back on counter-attack, and they were just caught on turnover, the Carlton defenders, and there was almost one extra ahead of the football. So you called it though, Lids. It was well organised by, it was more the composure really from Brad Hill, who just didn't just bang it in long and hope for the best. Take a little bit of time, take an extra half a second, analyse the matchups going forward, and found Phillippo going forward.
Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. 4-1 the Saints way in this second quarter from the restart. Chance for the Blues. Cripps can't break clear. He's locked up by Hunter Clark in the outer of the centre circles, and the umpire will ball it up. 24 minutes gone, second term. Marshall wins down the tap. Is able to get it to Owens off the side of the boot. Puts it out towards Higgins at right half forward. Chincotta right there with him. Trying to hand pass over his shoulder to Phillippo. Newman races back. Tackled by Phillippo. Gets the hand pass away to Doherty. Almost picked up by Winhager. They scrap forward at ground level. A chance for Burns. He's tackled by Akers. Knocks it forward. Only as far as Fisher. Hand pass to Doherty. Driven into the turf by Brad Hill. Not a great hand pass to Doherty, and a free kick going the Blues' way. A push in the eyes of the umpire. Is that the way you saw it, Brett Delidio?
No, well, I'm not sure the umpire did either. He got a whisper from someone in his ear, I think, but I thought that was just a really good attack on the man.
Oh, that's not a good kick. Doherty hands it straight back. Kicks it to Higgins. Marks on the wing. Long kick inside 50. Superb. Gresham marks 35 out. True centre half forward.
It was the second time in so many minutes where they've had a skill error going forward. First it was Zach Fisher on the far wing who fumbled the football, and then Sam Doherty going for that kick inside on a 45. It was probably there, but just didn't execute it the right way, and you just you just get caught off on turnover there. There's no way you're going to defend the football from that turnover.
Big kick for Gresham. Their free agent. He skips in here from straight in front. He's offline. He misses out to the left. Gee, it's a big let-off. The Saints preying on the Carlton turnovers, 7-2 to 3-4. As we tick towards half-time, the Saints, new high watermark. They're up by 22.
As the Blues come back into play through Nick Newman, long kick towards half-back, and Akers takes the mark. In front of Burns at right half-back. He's going to get to his feet and chip backwards inside the defensive 50. And Newman takes the mark.
Just no space out there at the moment on offence for Carlton. St Kilda defending the ball really well, defending space and the man very well.
Newman sends it in the direction of Charlie Curnow to Koning. Curnow flies, it gets to the back of the pack, battle for the Saints. Hand pass to Crouch, over 20 possessions before half-time to Winhager. Hand pass to Hunter Clark, up towards half-forward. Clears King and Sharman at the back. Marchbank didn't take it, put the pressure on as Higgins was charging forward. He gets the hand pass, Miss Gresham, charging back, good support. Holland's got there, Butler almost got him. The hand pass comes clear and the tackle is not rewarded. Filippo thrown to the turf. It's desperation stakes for the Blues. Wiedering a clearing kick. Looking for Fogarty. Has to try and make it work against Crouch. Is able to knock it out to Akers. Cuts through traffic. Hand pass boundary side. Dow runs the boundary line.
Dow kicks Carlton into their front half. A battle and Charlie Curnow in a tangle and Charlie's over battle's shoulder. Free kick for the Saint. How was that not holding the ball against Hollands?
Might have just got a fingernail on it, Corbin.
I think 99 out of 100 footy fans have...
Everyone stopped.
Absolutely.
All the players stopped, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely cold. Not to be. As Wilkie, short kick down the line to Burns. And the ground just exhales again as the Saints push forward. 22 points St Kilda's lead. Burns kicks to Sharman, no mark. Spills down towards Crouch, gives it back to Sharman, hand pass to Gresham, looks inside 50. Gee, Marshall just ran straight around Newman and then spills the mark. He punches his own fist as the siren goes. And the Saints, gee, it feels like they should be in front by even more with a couple of big moments late in the quarter. They lead by 22 at halftime, which is a game high. St Kilda 7-2-44, Carlton a 3-4-22. The 22-point advantage for the Saints. The goal kickers, Dan Butler kicked a couple and then singles for Crouch, King, Marshall, Higgins and Filippo. While for Carlton, 3 goals. One for Motlop, Akers and Jack Martin. So 4 goals to 1 in the quarter. They've kicked 5 of the last 6 in the game, the Saints. After falling behind time on in the opening term.
Earlier, Melbourne winners by 32 points over North Melbourne to move to second on the AFL ladder, and Fremantle and the Brisbane Lions to close out the weekend of footy. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with their thoughts to halftime.
Yeah, I just don't think Carlton has structured up well enough. I think that Ross Lyon's certainly done a number so far 100%. On the Blues, and I think they've come with a real aggressive mindset, St Kilda, and their pressure's just been phenomenal, really. They've had 52 tackles in a half of football, which...
It's not wet.
It's not wet, and it's very, very dry and very quick out there at the moment at Marvel Stadium, and they've just been hungry for the football and hungry for the man, St Kilda. I think that on the back half of that second quarter, Carlton understood that St Kilda were going to try and drop off, and they evened up, but the damage was already done, and they were picking them apart on offensive as well. I know when you turn the ball over in the positions they did then, Carlton, and you're not going to be able to win the ball back and force the ball back, so... Some of the decision-making hasn't been quite good enough, but their skill execution has let them down as well, Carlton. But they're sort of seeing a similar trend as what we saw early in the year when these two sides came up against each other. Just St Kilda just refusing to allow Carlton through the corridor. They started off really well to start the game in terms of using their hands, but then St Kilda tightened that up and just forced them into kicking the ball long. And it just doesn't play into the hands of Charlie Curnow, who's playing 2v1 at the moment. So I like the fact that Jack Martin then analysed that and thought, well, if Josh Battle's going to come off, I need to try and get that match up to try and make sure that he's trying to man him up conversely. So I'd like to see them play the 6 forwards going forward, St Kilda in the second half. Carlton in the second half, because Ross Lyon, I think, was very well coached in that first half of football.
Yeah, look, I think they're trying to get their game up and going, and the Saints have taken that away from them, and therefore they're then trying to invent with their kicks, and we saw that with the Doherty one, trying to go inside, which then turned over and back it goes towards inside 50. But ultimately, I think Carlton are a marking forward down, aren't they? One of their rucks is coming, they're rotating off the bench versus being able to have a key target, which is meaning that Jack Martin is not able to get on his bike and do what he has been the last few weeks, really work his opponent up. He's having to come right back and play deep because that's where Battle is, sitting off in front of Charlie Curnow, which is really halting the performance of Charlie Curnow as well. So
he's got no space at the moment.
He's got zero space, but they haven't got an extra target who can go down there and really create that contest. So,
which is what the second ruck doesn't really provide at all.
No, he doesn't. And so therefore I'm thinking, well, why not, instead of playing Caleb Marchbank deep inside the defensive 50 by himself, send him forward to try and create that contest. Maybe he could be your player that goes down there and at least give you something down there, so it's not just being marked by Battle and turned over.
Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with their assessments to half-time. The Saints leading by 22 points, 7-2-44 to the Blues, 3-4-22.
Just a quick one. This is only the 6th time all year that St Kilda have led at half-time, which is amazing to think that a team is 11-8 on the season. They have spent the whole year in the top 6, and only the 6th time they've been in front at half-time all year. They've actually won on all 5 of the previous other occasions. So, but Blues have it all to do, as we know. Obviously 22 down at the half.
Melbourne winners by 32 points earlier today, and an unfortunate injury for Harrison Petty with an ankle injury finished the match in a moon boot. So
it's disappointing.
We saw his rise against the Tigers last week, and his 6 goals. Yep. Melbourne just can't get a trick with their forward 50, having maybe finally found the right combination.
Is it time
for
Brodie Grundy
to come forward?
To fall forward.
If ever there's a time.
Wow.
Who would be more nervous, Ben Brown or Brodie Grundy, to see whether their phone is going to ring?
Oh, yeah, I'd probably just wait until the next day. Let that one go through to the keeper. You wouldn't want to be getting the bad news, would you?
Some of your thoughts on the SMS, we'd love to hear from you. 0437 774 774. Robin Greensborough Dow is a very good VFL player. Decision-making and vision supports that assessment. How can he get a contract when Silvani can't? Speaks volumes. A cheerio to Tony, who's listening in from Glenelg. Thanks for your company, Tony. Adrian's a Blues fan. Go the Blues, and g'day to the grandstand team. And Matt in Tassie, great call. Can't wait to hear whether Lids is a fan of the white collars on the Saints jumper.
Yeah,
Does he give that the tick? With no long sleeves today.
No long sleeves, but I love any variation to the traditional jumper or the throwback to the traditional jumper. I think they look great.
So there you go, Matt. And Phil from Hawthorn, a cheerio to you, listening from a casualty with the amazing people at Epworth, Richmond, waiting for an X-ray. Always love the ABC call. Hi, Murph. Calm the baggers.
Good luck with the X-ray.
And to Mark, who's listening to the broadcast. My wife Nikki and I are listening to the game in our tiny caravan at Nambucca Heads as the storm closes in from Port Macquarie. Thank you, ABC, and go Blues. Good on you, Mark. Safe travels to you, and good luck in the caravan.
Driven through Nambucca Heads?
No, I haven't.
I think it's in Nantucket.
Okay, that's... yeah, you pass that on your drive from Brisbane to Sydney.
Right.
So, yeah, there you go.
My Uncle Michael did the caravan around Australia. It was enough stories to put me off ever doing that. Cheerio to you, Mick. I won't be doing it. You're a braver man than me. The Saints leading by 22 points at halftime. Let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. A man has died and his 5 sons are believed to have also been killed in a house fire on Russell Island, southeast of Brisbane this morning. Emergency crews were called to the home just after 6 o'clock to find one house engulfed in flames and the blaze spreading to 2 neighbouring properties. Police say a 34-year-old man has died and his 5 sons, aged between 3 and 11, are also feared to have perished in the blaze. John Corcutt from Queensland Fire and Emergency Services says it was a confronting job for the local rural fire service crew.
A rural fire brigade arrived on scene, 11 of them in 2 trucks, and found a house well alight. It was obviously quite a distressing and difficult time for them because it is a small community and of course everybody pretty well knows everybody else.
The Western Australian opposition has called on the Premier to front the media amid speculation the state's cultural heritage laws could be scrapped within days. The Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act has been the subject of months of backlash from farmers, developers and mining groups over its workability in practice. The WA government has continued to deny whether a decision has been made. Shadow Minister for Planning, Lands and Heritage, Neil Thompson, has condemned the lack of leadership over the legislation's rollout.
Never seen such a spectacular backflip, but we don't even really know what that backflip is. We have no leadership whatsoever. Who is actually running the Cook Labor government at the moment? Who's actually in charge?
The ACT's chief prosecutor says he disputes many of the findings against him from an inquiry into the prosecution of former Liberal staffer Bruce Lehrmann. Patrick Bell reports.
Shane Drumgold has resigned as the Territory's Director of Public Prosecutions. An inquiry into the case against Mr Lehrmann found he engaged in serious misconduct and lost his objectivity. It also found his allegation there was political pressure not to pursue the case was baseless. In a statement, Mr Drumgold said he strongly disputes that he was dishonest or engaged in underhanded conduct during the trial. But he said he accepts the current publicity around him means the public couldn't have faith in his office.
New South Wales Premier Chris Minns says allegations that liquor and gaming tipped off Clubs New South Wales venues before a compliance check are concerning. On Friday, documents were tabled in Parliament by the industry regulator, which shows emails between Clubs New South Wales members warning them to keep ATMs, poker machines and signage compliant ahead of money laundering inspections. The Premier says he'll be calling for a thorough investigation.
Obviously, that's concerning. There needs to be community confidence that the laws that are in place already are being observed.
A man has died while two men escaped injury after a collision between a hatchback and ute towing a horse float in Sydney southwest. The driver of the Subaru Impreza hatchback has yet to be identified after his car caught fire following the crash in Douglas Park, where he died at the scene. A report is being prepared for the coroner. Two men from Forbes were taken to Liverpool Hospital in a stable condition, where they've since been released. The horse was not injured in the incident. South Australian train drivers are sharing their experiences of trauma associated with near misses as part of Rail Safety Week. The state government says there have been more than 260 close calls involving a pedestrian or cyclist in the past 12 months. Train driver Tony Lombardi says someone has crossed in front of his train with potentially fatal consequences in the past, and it has long-term psychological effects.
You don't recover from that very easily. We think about the effect that would have, the news that the family would be receiving, and it isn't very pleasant. It plays on our minds for days afterwards. We do our best here to make sure that we drive trains safely. It's our top priority. We can't understand why the public don't make it their top priorities.
Turning to sport, and the Netherlands are through to the Women's World Cup soccer quarter-finals after beating South Africa 2-0 at the Sydney Football Stadium. Amanda Shalala reports.
The Netherlands struck first in the 9th minute through Jill Rood. Banyana proved dangerous on the counter-attack and Tembi Kgatlana almost broke through several times. But Dutch goalkeeper Daphne van Dunselaar stood up each time. Early in the second half, the Dutch thought they had their second goal, but VAR stepped in and it was ruled offside. They finally did have their second thanks to Lynette Berenstein after a goalkeeping error from South Africa's Kaylin Swart. The Netherlands will now face Spain in the quarter-finals on Friday in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
And Celine Boutier has carded a round of 6 under 66 to take a 3-shot lead heading into the final round of the Women's Scottish Golf Open. Sarah Kemp is the best-placed Australian, tied for 6th at 7 under. This is ABC News.
ABC Listen.
A lot of us want to know exactly how a major Silicon Valley bank could have failed, how a former comedy star is holding off a nuclear superpower, and how did a country a lot like Australia end up with 100% inflation. I'm Matt Bevan. Join me for a new season of my podcast, If You're Listening, helping you make sense of major news events shaping our world with new episodes weekly. If you're listening, hear it now on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Newman races back. He knocks it out of the hands of Hill. Marchbank over it for the Blues. Too slow as Butler lays the tackle, holding the footy. Steps out and snaps across his body for his second in celebration with the St Kilda fans. As the Saints put on the opening 2 goals of the second quarter. Clark to Hill, works it forward to Gresham. They're on the run here. Sinclair looks up. Butler's all on his own. 20 metres clear. He can poke it over the top, but King will mark. He's only about 15 metres out. He's going to snap across his body, steps out, curls it through. The Saints are on the march here.
Getting across, Welty spoils. This gives the Blues half a chance. Martin Hand pass to Dowd. Surge kick forward and Motlop marks. The famous number 3 on his back. He moves in and pops it through against the flow. One Carlton badly needed. Handball away to Hill. He can kick longer afield. It's a good option. Philippo marks.
Don't turn your back.
35 out, true centre-half forward for the Saints. He wanted the kick and he's going to take it. This is what he wanted when he was drafted. The big-time moments. Philippo delivers. It's looking like a St Kilda kind of game.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Sunday afternoon footy from Docklands. It's 5th taking on 7th, and the Saints leading by 22 points at halftime. 7-2-44 to the Blues, 3-4-22. And as Corbin Minimas told you just before the news, it's the 6th time the Saints have led at halftime this season, having had the better half of it against the Blues. Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy are your experts. Earlier today, the Roos led by 33 points early against the Demons before Melbourne straightened up in the second half, eventually winning by 32 points, 15-13, 103 to the Roos, 10-11, 71 in their first match under Alistair Clarkson, who returned after 11 matches out, and Brett Ratton at the helm. Later on this afternoon, the final match of the round from the West. It's the Fremantle Dockers taking on the Brisbane Lions. Plenty of other sport taking place at the moment as well. Of course, the Women's World Cup we're keeping you across, and you'll hear it all on the ABC Listen app. So today, the match between Sweden and the United States getting underway later on tonight.
Big game.
Big game. US as the defending champions, and very much one of the teams to beat. And England, one of the other fellow teams that have been really dominant so far in this World Cup. They take on Nigeria tomorrow night. That's the perfect lead-in to the Matildas taking on Denmark. And Ned Hall and the team will be there to bring it to you. Coverage gets underway just after 8 o'clock. The match gets underway at 8:30. So all matches are broadcast on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the dedicated World Cup button and select on that, and you won't miss a minute of the action. Sam Kerr, we're expecting you to be there.
Absolutely. That Sweden-USA game, sneaky good. So that's Rectangular Stadium tonight, isn't it? Or Amy Park, whatever you want to call it, just across town. So that could quite conceivably be a final type match. So Sweden are ranked 3rd in the world, USA ranked number 1, and obviously the USA have struggled a little bit through the group stage, so we get it here in the round of 16, and as you said, tomorrow night, how good's that going to be in Sydney? The Matildas, all the best to them up against the Danes.
And the TV ratings have been through the roof. So
and the ABC Sport Digital ratings.
You stole my line. Sync it up with the ABC Listen app, and you can get the best of both worlds. In the NRL today, it was a win for the Parramatta Eels over St George Illawarra, 26 points to 20. And the Canberra Raiders prevailed over the West Tigers. Early stages there. It's the Raiders in a low-scoring affair, leading the West Tigers 4-0 after half an hour, with the Bulldogs having the bye. The type of weekend where you need a bit of assessment of everything. Of course, the Netball World Cup is taking place as well. The Diamonds are through to the final. They'll take on England. A nice little rematch with England prevailing in the Roses with some fiery words, some fighting words after their victory. Helen Housby there, so I'd be surprised if they're not printed off and put in the Diamonds locker room. So offside, this is the best spot to catch up with it all with Kelly Underwood. You can catch that on the iView and get you up to speed with not only just the Women's Football World Cup, the Netball World Cup and the Bledisloe. A better effort from Eddie Jones's Wallabies, but still on the losing side against the All Blacks in New Zealand. So it's all there on ABC iView. And don't forget, the best of ABC Sport is where you can get all your podcasts from. Grandstand AFL Sunday with Corbin Minimas, Mark Murphy, and Chad Wingard took the title today over you, Murph, in the Cheesy Game Show.
They did. We had a basketball question. I don't know my basketball whatsoever. I misheard the question too. It was very stumbly coming out of the host.
It was a
played it to the guest.
I thought we got 8 or 9 out of the top 10 for Buddy's grounds, wasn't it?
Yep,
that's right.
Yeah, and you're a little unlucky in the end there. So
stiff.
Perth Stadium switched with the. Considering he kicked 7 in the first game at Perth Stadium too, you would have thought that would make the top 10, but not quite. He only played at 14 venues, by the way, Buddy, in his whole career.
Did he?
So Murph played. What did I say you played at?
15.
Yeah. And Chad's played at 19. Including a game in China.
Oh, yeah.
That'd help. Should get triple points for that one.
Yeah. How many would you have played in?
I'm not sure. Don't know. A lot at the G. I know that.
Not across your AFL tables?
14 seems...
No,
14 seems skinny, doesn't it? Like that, I would
think
have thought
14's about right. If you play over 200.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Wow. Oh, you know why? Because I went to the Giants and we played at Manuka a lot. And,
You played at Four Grounds once, Darwin, New Perth Stadium.
Yeah, we sold that game too. That was we sold that game.
York Park in Launceston, Homebush Stadium, Australia. You played twice at Carrara on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
3 times up in Cairns, 3 times at Bellerive, 4 at Manuka and Canberra. So there you go. You did go to a few little outposts in Aussie Rules Land.
Yep.
Just a lazy 136 on the G, though, which is
always. I used to love talking to the Giants boys. They're like, "Oh, I can't live it on the G." I was like, "Yeah, it's getting a bit old here, boys. I'm used to this ground. It's pretty good."
So wherever you get your podcast from, search for the best of ABC Sport, and that's where you can find Grandstand AFL Sunday. The lead we had yesterday with Cameron Ling and Adam Romanaskas. Interesting conversation with Liam Jones, who made reference to Alex Keith, who was subbed out last week with concussion, fronted up to the club on Monday. Seemed to be okay. But given the concussion protocol is now, you have to miss a week based on the umpire, or the doctor, I should say, the doctor's verdict that regardless of how you feel, it's now a week's precaution. That's all available under the best of ABC Sport. And, of course, Corbin and Ben, Monday and Thursday from 5 p.m. Eastern, featuring Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio. On the SMS, a cheerio to Marilyn and Flo from WA, who are listening via the AFL app. They've got their phones out in desperate times, trying to work out what it all means and where everyone sit on the AFL ladder. It's a crucial game for these two sides. And a question coming through around Clayton Oliver. Where's he at the moment? The expectation, Simon Goodwin said, is that they're hoping he'll return next week as the Blues take on the Demons on Saturday night.
Okay. Well, it's a good game for him to come back in, I suppose. I'm not sure how far away was Chera. Did they say he's 2 to 3 with his hammy?
2 or 3.
And Walsh, again, we heard today from Brad Lloyd that he's probably not likely this week as well. So wouldn't be a bad one for Oliver to come in and strengthen that already strong side.
And the big news this morning was that Nick Dacos has been ruled out for 6 weeks. And Nathan Murphy to miss the next 3 for the Pies, 2 to 3, which sort of puts him right in line with the end of the home and away season. Collingwood 2 games clear on top of the AFL ladder, but unfortunate for Nick Dacos, that hairline fracture into the right knee. You can sort of see him on the TV coverage pointing to Tom Mitchell and knew that it wasn't quite right, and that the scan confirmed this morning that was bad news. So favourite for the Brownlow medal. His home and away season is done, and questions as to when he might make it back for finals.
Yep.
Collingwood potentially could win the first week of the finals, and that might give him a bit more breathing space.
Yep.
Lose, and all of a sudden it puts him on an interesting timeline.
It does. Yep. He's going to be up against it, but he'll do everything right. He seems like the ultimate professional, doesn't he?
Saints lead the Blues by 22 points. Into the second half we go. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
The Blues won only 1 game this year when trailing at halftime. They've got it all to do as Pitternet wins the hit out and then goes back, follows up. Jams it on the boot, gets the clearance to centre half forward. Motlop pushed into it, can't trap it though. Burns with the pressure, ball spills to Wood. Half back for the Saints, gives it to Sinclair. Handball to Webster, slips over. Gives a hand pass to Crouch, feeds it forward to the skipper. Here's Steele, kicks it over the head of Sharman. Bounces once, on to Kemp, who hits up for the Blues. Short kick to Fisher. A little bit of a U-turn, swings a hand pass out to Akers. Left peg, short pass, spoiled away by Cordy, I think with his bonds. Spills to Cunningham. He's tackled, coughs it up. Saints back the other way. As Steele gives a hand pass to Crouch. Handball away to Wood. Short pass to Caminiti. Hand pass back inboards, just a turnover, and Fisher's onto it for the Blues. Ugly looking kick forward, and he picked off again by Steele. We're back where we started. St Kilda at half back. 22 points, the Saints lead.
Steele over the top to Brad Crouch. Possession number 25 coming up. The only player on the ground over 20 disposals as he goes short to Mason Wood. Has it at right half back. He veers out to the left. Gains every millimetre he can and sends it up towards the flight of Caminiti behind. Owens was in front. It's brought down by Kemp and Fisher on half back. Works it around the boundary line to Nick Newman. Went at 100% disposal in the second quarter for his 10 disposals. Inboard to Fogarty, another good one. Chip kick to Cunningham, missed him. In from the side, Wanganeen Millera spoils it down. Crouch onto it. Hand pass to Wanganeen Millera for the Saints. Releases Mason Wood, a high up and under kick. Have a go at that. In from the side, unable to take the mark was Cooper Sharman. Higgins is down low. The Saints through Chin Cotter. Gets the hand pass, the Blues should I say. Gets the hand pass to Hewitt, to Newman, out towards the Koning. He marks centre wing on the broadcast side.
Where's Charlie? He's a little closer to goal. He hits up at half forward. Ball doesn't come to him initially, and in the end, just a long contest kick from DeConing. Tough one for Curnow to mark. He ends up with it eventually, tackled by Steele. Ball comes out. Hewitt has it. He's wrapped up, and ump says, I'll have it. Ball up 55 out from the Carlton goal.
Looks like Cottrell's trying to get to battle to make him accountable, and also De Conning being pushed forward.
Saints by 22 early in the third from the restart. Marshall wins it down to Cripps, squeezes a kick forward, but Sinclair picks it off. He's pushed as he goes to kick. And off hands, the kick smothered, ricochets out of bounds, and a throw-in right on the 50-metre arc, half forward for the Blues. They're kicking to the Lockett end in this third quarter.
Toss back into play. Marshall and Pitnet tangle. Pitnet tries to knock it down to the front. Mitch Owens is there. Tackled by Hewitt. Gets a kick straight in laterally towards the middle of the ground. Fogarty can't mark. Hewitt tries to knock it inside 50. Doherty got it to De Coney. Jams it on the boot towards the goal line. It gets there. Tom De Coney with something out of nothing for the Blues for the first goal of the third term, which is just 3 minutes old. And the Saints lead is cut back to 16 points. 7-2-44 to the Blues, 4-4-28. It felt like a crucial early stage for the two ruckmen with one playing forward. But if it didn't work, it might result in a bench for one or the other.
No, it's a smart coaching move just to put Tom De Conning as the deepest, because you just want Charlie playing higher up the ground, trying to work his opponent essentially into the ground as much as he can, and have Tom De Conning as that one where they can go to as a bailout kick long and just try and force a bit of, have someone to go to him. But that one was just a stoppage, and it was just a hack forward from about 45, and he's got some good purchase on that. It was a Sam Doherty handball that released big Tom De Conning, and good finish.
Stocker and Ed Kerno, the two subs, neither of them used so far. Back in the middle, Pitternet wins it down. Cripps, pure force, got a hand pass out to Akers, gives it to Doherty, has to get around the umpire, gives it to Fisher, short kick to Motlop. Here we go, the Blues with a little bit of momentum early in this third term. Motlop high half forward, kicks into the pocket. Sinclair stands in front of the pack, spills down to Fogarty. Free kick, and Sinclair is getting a free. And his arms chopped, said the umpire. In fact, it was battle, and umpire Razor Ray Chamberlain storming in to penalise Kerno in that marking contest.
It's unlike Razor getting involved.
The battle lays it off to Sinclair, goes short to Crouch in the back pocket for the Saints.
Hugs the boundary line with a kick to Jimmy Webster. He has it in the left back pocket. Inboard, risky kick. Cordy takes the mark just in front of De Coney. The start of this third term playing out of the goal square. Cordy plays on, looks to drive it as far as he can in the direction of Marshall. Up in front, Filippo can't gather, and Holland sees it out of play. He's appealing
on the
for it to come off a boot.
It did.
And the boundary umpire eventually agrees. Burns is standing there with his hands on his hips, trying to make sure everyone's on the same page, and it will be a Carlton free kick. Or will it? Here's our man, Ian Burrows, who's part of the ABC crew. He's racing across. He's the right man you want to make the decision.
There it is.
And the three are all in animated conversation, and it will be a Carlton free kick out on the full.
It's definitely off the boot of Mitch Owens. Just saw it on the replay. Caminiti, sorry.
Here's Nick Newman. Kicks to a contest, forward pocket. Kerno hands on it. No mark, spills to Marshall. Dump kick out of the defensive arc. King hits up, spin move, got out of the tackle, hand pass to Burns, feeds it further forward, Filippo the target, and Kemp intercepts. It spills it out of play, and a throw in between wing and half forward for Carlton. So Melbourne by 32 over North. They came from 33 down early in the game. A near 11-goal swing in the match. Still to come, Fremantle and the Brisbane Lions. We'll take you there following our game on Grandstand AFL. From the boundary throw-in comes to Doherty. He's tackled, dispossessed. Hollins, hurried kick forward, puts it about 8 rows back. Out on the full, free kick for the Saints at half-back. They led it by 16 points. 6 gone, third quarter. So far, Carlton, the only goal in the early stages of this third term.
Ryan Burns at half-back is called to play on. Sends it as long as he can around the wing. King's in the pack, in from the side. Good mark. Mitch Owens takes a great contested mark, sends it up towards Marshall. He has the height advantage against Zach Fisher. Pitnet couldn't get there to lay a glove in there. Feeds the hand pass back to Burns. Pulls his kick inside 50. King back with the flight. Takes the mark. Backpedaling in the left forward pocket. Was able to get enough of the footy to claim the mark.
Oh, how good's that high marking on show there. Started with Mitch Owens and then another long kick into Marshall. The ability to catch it above your head, these big guys, makes it so hard to defend, doesn't it? But the quick ball movement as well.
Yep.
They didn't waste any time, Murph. Just kept the ball in motion. Got it going forward.
They're also agile, aren't they? Like Royal Marshall, obviously a ruckman, but just outworked Pitney ahead of the football, and then Max King working hard towards goal and found himself at the end of it.
Missed 3 games with that shoulder injury. Season looked over. He's going the drop punt from the left forward pocket. All hail the Kings. Through it goes. The Saints answer back. Max with his second. And St Kilda lead by 22 points as they did at half-time. 8-2-50 to the Blues, 4-4-28. And the comparison, Charlie Curnow hasn't had a run at it this afternoon.
Yep.
And Max King able to take an impressive contested mark.
No, he hasn't had a run at it, Charlie Curnow. It's not from lack of want or work rate. It's just been great pressure around the football, and just Carlton haven't had the ability to hit up any leads whatsoever inside 50, and that's exactly how Charlie wants it. He wants it coming in quick. He wants it coming in direct. And it's just been St Kilda's pressure all day, which has just dried up those opportunities for him. He's just had to fight a 2v1 battle for most of the day, and again we're just seeing a replay of Rowan Marshall's mark in the air. As you said, leads to 3 tools in a row. He had to take contested marks, wasn't it, from St Kilda?
22 points again for the Saints, a game high back in the middle. Marshall wins it down to Steele, who's tackled by Fogarty, and a ball up again. So Charlie Curnow 4 goals ahead in the Coleman race, despite having not kicked one today. He's on 67, Taylor Walker 63, and just one for Larkey down in Hobart, so he's on 51. From the stoppage, Hewitt, hand pass away to Fisher, kicks out wide, Cottrell marks, right on the logo of the 50. Beyond his range. He's going to go back and across to Nick Newman, who marks front edge of the centre square. It's a crowded forward 50. He kicks back to Cottrell, who's made another 5 metres.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you make Josh Battle accountable. Yep. You know, that ability just to use Cottrell as he's hit up the first time. I really like Zach Fisher off half back. I think he adds and takes a bit of pressure off Adam Saad to be that one who creates all the time. Probably allows Doherty to go inside a little bit more as well. It's a good addition, Zach Fisher off half back, but if this goes through, it says to Josh Battle, well, show me a bit more respect and don't just sag off.
So pass back from 50 out. He'll now kick from inside the 50. Cottrell, drop punt, sails, goalward. It's right to the line. It's touched through for a minor score. St Kilda by 21. 10 minutes gone in the third.
Game's got underway in Perth. We'll take you there for the second half. A goal apiece of the Dockers leading by a point. Out of defence, Windhager sends it up towards Owens. A bit too stationary, and it's spoiled out of play by Hewitt with support from Saad. Goals coming through Link McCarthy and Lockie Schultz in Perth.
You see how crowded the Carlton forward line is at the moment compared to St Kilda. It's about 9 pairs ahead of the football at Carlton and about 3 for St Kilda.
Saints by 21 points. Pitnet palms it down to Hewitt. There's no room to move, and he's locked up.
So Carlton are matching up the defender who's playing the +1, and Ross Lyons obviously sending more St Kilda players down there, just creating more numbers, harder to score.
Ryan Marshall followed up his right work to lay the tackle. He's in action here again, winning down the tap towards Hewitt. Can't get a clearing disposal. Dow slipped over. Has another go at it back towards Hewitt. He slips over. Under pressure. Mason Wood tunnels it towards the boundary line, and in front of Paddy Dow it goes out of play. Saints leading by 21 points. 10 minutes gone, third term.
I know which forward line I'd like to be playing in at the moment with all that space. It's well organised.
St Kilda by 21. Mark Murphy on grandstand AFL from the boundary throw-in. Pitternet tries to throw his boot at it. Trickles off his laces away to Fisher. Kicks inside 50. Curnow one-on-one with Wilkie. Wilkie spoils out wide. Wood collects. Martin tackles him. Wood over the boundary line with the footy. We'll have a throw-in 60 out from the Blues goal.
Been really physical on Charlie Curnow all day, St Kilda. Every man who's run past him has got a body on him.
Charlie's still goalless. Early stages, third term. Boundary throw in. There's a tangle behind play. It's the 2 captains, the 2 number 9, Steele and Cripps. Free kick, Cripps. They both looked at the umpire. Not sure whose free it was. Cripps will take it. The Brownlow medalist to the top of their goal square. Big fly from Curnow, but it's Marshall, the tallest figure. Takes the intercept mark for St Kilda. Moves it wide immediately to Battle. They've turned it over though. Cottrell. Hand pass away towards Owies, who tumbles a kick to the goal face but doesn't score. And mopped up by Windhager and Wood. Wood from the back pocket with the footy.
Hand pass to Marshall, run down. Great chase from Motlop, not rewarded. Spills away of Dow. Hand pass to Motlop, over the top to Martin. Windhager lays the tackle. Gresham with the hand pass out under pressure. Brad Crouch lost it to Coney's kick is smothered. Spills out to Steele at halfback. Hand pass to Webster to Crouch, who cleverly tapped it into the path of Hunter Clark, who kicks up to Cooper Sharman, who marks. The Blues fans aren't impressed.
They've missed some big ones today as Sharman goes down to half forward. Gresham 60 out against the boundary line. Kicks for King. Caught at the back. Brings the ball to ground. Did it illegally. Into the back of Newman. The Bronx cheer. Carlton get a free, but it's at the other end of the ground. Short kick to Doherty. Long ball out to half back for Martin. Takes the mark in the tangle with Butler. Feels like an enormous stage in the game. 12 minutes into the third. Saints by 21. 8-2 to 4-5. And the next goal, even this far out, feels big. Short to Newman. Short to Chincotta. He goes back with St Kilda well set up. Wiedering marks centre half back. Comes out to the wing for Kemp. Brodie Kemp. Been one of the finds all year for Carlton, and he puts it out on the full right on cue. Looking to try and hit up to Coney and invites the Saints back in. Mason Wood to take the free in front of the St Kilda interchange. Saints by 21, 13 gone in the third.
This is where Carlton are really missing the run of Chera and Walsh, who are able to get that overlap run. They've just got no run whatsoever at the moment.
Mason Wood veers out to the left, kicks long to Sharman, can't come down with a footy, spills away of Clark, tackled and lost it. Sard for the Blues, down low for DeConing, can't gather, racing back Mitch Owens, gets the hand pass away to Brad Hill, kicks into the corridor, no one there for the Saints. Doherty marks, hand pass to Akers, over the top to Motlop, through the middle of the ground, takes the bounce, gets the half forward, vacant goal square, does he go for home? He steers it through for his second, big goal for the Blues. Jesse Motlop looked up and all the forwards were opposed, so he decided he had to go himself. A solo run through the middle of Docklands to close the gap to 15 points the Saints' way. 8-2-50 to Carlton 5-5-35. The Blues with 2 goals to 1 in this third term through 14 minutes.
Well, it's a crucial goal in the scheme of things. You called it, Corby. The next goal was always going to be big, but it was the way in which they scored. They were quick off turnover. Doherty. And just backed themselves in. It was Doherty's handball that released it, and it was just run ahead of the football. And then Jesse Motlop just to see grass in front of him and just have the confidence to take 1 or 2 bounces. It was a great finish in the end, great goal by Jesse Motlop. And when you're playing that half-forward role, you don't get too many opportunities. You've got to make them count, and he certainly is at the moment.
So he's got his 2, Jesse. Kicked 2 last week against Collingwood. That little calf niggle that he's been able to shake off. Played 16 of the 20 games this year. Back in the middle, Cripps knocks it down, comes to Dow. Going forward again, the Blues. Martin the target, no marks, spills to Motlop. Collects it half forward, hand pass to Martin, tackled, lost it. Motlop had a play on it, tackled, dispossessed. Wilkie gets it out of the defensive arc. DeConing has it coming back, through centre half forward. DeConing shoots goalward but misses. Gee, that would have been something special from the big man. And the lefty misses. Out to the near side, so a 14-point lead for the Saints, but Carlton with a bit of pep in their step, 16 gone in the third.
Wilkie brings the Saints back into play to Winhager in the left back pocket. Spots up Brad Hill, still inside the defensive 50. St Kilda leading by 14 points. Sends it out by foot, and Hunter Clark marks at left half back. Not a lot of movement further afield, so Clark will drive it as far as he can around the wing. In the direction of King and Filippo. King got hands to it. Filippo trying to claim the mark, and the umpire's going to give it to him. Off 2 sets of hands. Saints have had a few lucky ones this afternoon as Filippo sends it towards half forward. Charging out. Sharman couldn't get there. It's gathered by Chincotta of the Blues. Retreats back to Nick Newman. Hand pass over the top back to Chincotta. Through the middle to Marchbank. Off balance. Feeds the hand pass out to Motlop. Tackled by Butler. Great tackle. Ball spills clear. Onto it Hill for the Saints. Back to Winhager. Looks up towards half forward. Sends it towards Mitch Owens. Akers the other direction. Akers had a good piece of it. Couldn't claim the mark. Newman over the top. Locks it up at half forward for the Saints.
Jack Martin doing a hell of a lot of work there. Should have been rewarded hitting up across centre half forward, across the wings, but that extra bounce just killed him. Didn't get him a chance.
St Kilda by 14. Boundary ball up rather, half forward for the Saints. DeConing wins it down. They all scrap for it. DeConing gets a second play on it. Just knocks it forward. Now soccers the half volley up into the front half. Here's Curnow hitting up and marking. He's got it on the wing, but his direct opponent drops back. He goes long to a 2-on-1. Tough one for Owies, but he marks.
Gee, he just got up quickly. Kerno whacked it forward 60 metres, and Owies never took his eyes off it. Hugs it to his chest. 35 out straight in front.
Well, it was a great kick by Charlie Kerno, but how good's Tom DeConning been in the last 4 or 5 minutes?
He's lifted, hasn't he?
He just grabbed the group on his back a little bit and just thought, I'm just going to take this game by the scruff of the neck, and just been aggressive around contest, then just hacking the ball forward and just taking bodies with him.
In comes Matt Owies. Straight through it goes. And the Blues are riding momentum under the roof at Docklands. They're chasing the game, but they've cut St Kilda's lead to 8. 18 gone in the third term. The Blue Baggers 6-6-42. St Kilda 8-2-50. Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio, 18 travelled third term.
Yeah, you're right, Murph. I haven't really seen that in Tom DeConning before, that ability to be aggressive towards the opposition and really try and keep the ball moving forward. It was a great decision just to hack it forward. It gave Charlie Kerno that opportunity to get one out. And what I love about Charlie is he's always looking to go forward with the footy. He doesn't waste his time going sideways. Like, boys, this is how I expect it.
Does he?
He doesn't. And that was a risky 50-50 kick. Tell you what, Hunter Clark, he was, you could see him putting in the hard ones trying to get back there. He was no chance. Just a perfect kick from Charlie.
Saints got out by 22 points at half-time. The Blues as close as they've been since the first quarter. Back in the middle of the ground, a chance for Hewitt. Dives on the footy, trying to knock it out to Cripps. Little toe poke from Marshall to half-forward. Charging onto it, Higgins. Cleverly slapped forward by Hill. Into the path of Butler. Great chase from Hollins. Lays the tackle, holding the ball. Desperation from the Blues. They take the advantage. Fisher on half-back. Up towards Jack Martin on the wing. Just can't take the mark against Webster. Spills the way of Wood. Tackled by Akers. Gets the hand pass away to Webster. Now to Sinclair. Up to Gresham at left half forward. Inside 50. Kicks for Higgins. Can't take the mark against 2. Spills down the way of Marchbank. Feeds the hand pass to Newman. Sidesteps around Hill.
Hand pass inside from Newman to Martin. Gives it to Marchbank. Kicks for Kerno. Hands to it. No mark. Wilkie does well. Wins the one-on-one. Quick kick forward. Turnover. Hewitt's got it on the wing. Gives it to Fisher. Exaggerated hand pass out to Akers. Ugly kick. Just butchers it straight to Cordy. It marks at half-back for the Saints, and that takes a little bit of the air out of Carlton's balloon. Not a great kick from Akers. They win it back. Cordy goes long to a contest on the wing. Spills down to Filippo. Tackled immediately. Holds the footy in. And a ball up in front of the interchange gates. St Kilda by 8 points. But Carlton have kicked 3 of the last 4 in the game. Time on third quarter.
In Perth, the Dockers lead 2-2-14 to the Brisbane Lions 1-4-10. Opening quarter there. Crouch somehow kept the ball in play. Hard against the boundary. Kicks inside 50. Newman couldn't take it. Gets it back to Wiedering though. Hand pass to Kemp. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Hollins takes the mark. Still inside the defensive 50. Looks up through the middle of the ground. Marchbank has space. He holds his ground. Did he play on? Owens lays the tackle. Bumped him off his kick. Up towards Cunningham. He's got 3 to beat. Winhager lays the tackle. It spills to Webster. Sinclair's after it. Sliding in. Doherty did well. Sinclair knocks it out to Webster. Hand pass to Hill. Tucks the footy under his arm. Kicks up towards left half forward. And Butler takes the mark. Had Sharman leading at half forward. Goes more centrally than that. The 2-on-1 and Caminiti's beaten. Taking the mark was Nick Newman, and he kicks out to left half back, and Akers marks.
Goes short to Hewitt, centre half back for the Blues. Carlton with plenty of momentum here. Trying to ride it all the way to three-quarter time in the middle of the ground at Newman. He goes wide to Hollins in a crucial one-on-one. Cooper Sharman does well for the Saints. Wins the footy. Short kick to Webster. Webster going to go a little longer. Out to the boundary line, city side. Newman covers off on Gresham. Knocks it out of play. Boundary throw in high. Oh, no. It's a free kick against Newman. Chopping the arms according to umpire Roger. And Gresham's going to get it for St Kilda. He goes back and across to Clark. Short kick to Webster. Outer edge of the centre square. St Kilda with possession with an 8-point lead. 22 gone in the third quarter. The switch is on. Battle, long kick out to Wilkie. Wilkie can just dab it short and finds Wood high half forward for the Saints.
The Saints looking for an answer after the Blues are the last 2 goals of the match. Wood long towards Caminiti. Can't take the mark. Butler front and centre. Tackled, spilled away. It's volleyed down on the full. I think that came off a St Kilda boot. He's charging through was Dan Butler, and it's going to go the way of Zach Fisher. Up against the behind post in the left back pocket. Saints leading by 8 points. Spots a free man at half-back. It's Hewitt. Hewitt pushes right behind his mark. 22 minutes gone, third term. He wants to switch it. Out to Kemp in the right back pocket. Had to wait a few moments as Cooper Sharman came charging at him. Sends it wider still where the mark is taken at right half-back by Nick Newman. All of a sudden everyone takes a breath.
So good last week, Newman. Got 2 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year in that win over Collingwood. Short to Marchbank and short to Doherty. And everybody just takes a deep breath. Carlton with the last 2 in the game. Doherty hugging the boundary line city side. Long kick to the pack. Well, Spilling at his battle. Had hands to it. Loose footy behind him. Ball comes out. Clark can't trap it. Still close to the boundary line. Webster picks it up. He's tackled out of play. The ump says, I'll have it. Boundary throw in just forward of the wing for the Blues.
Yeah, there's not much space out there at the moment. It's high pressure, relying upon your best ball users to get their hands on the football when there's not much space like this.
Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio, Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass and Jess Webster with you for Sunday afternoon footy. Pitnet wins down the tap. Hill was tackled, lost it. No whistle. In fact, there was as Hollands kicks it. But the free kick, the advantage won't be taken. So the ball will be returned to the outer wing. Zach Fisher will take it. Possession number 24 coming up in his first game since round 14. He's made an impressive return across half-back. Sends it out to Nick Newman, who marks just shy of half-forward. Out to the right, he kicks into the pocket and Hewitt has space. He marks hard against the boundary, but he's within range 45 metres out.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to go for at the moment because St Kilda's getting a lot of numbers back in defensive 50, so little pockets of space like that, you've got to be able to back your leg in and hit the target.
Hewitt's eyes darting, so he might put it to the top of the square. To Koning, who'll set himself. Wood knocks it goalmouth. Can Kerno get onto it? Racing back, Webster rushes it through. Might have caught one to the head in the process, but through for a minor score. And the damage is avoided for the Saints. They lead by 7 points, 24 minutes gone, third term.
Jess Webster on the boundary.
Some movement on the Saints bench. Liam Stocker, the substitutes into the game. It's Mateus Filippo who's been subbed out.
Thanks, Jess. He's picked 19, of course, by Carlton back in 2018. Considered very much a draft bolter. Carlton moving up the board to nab him. Delisted ended last year. The Saints give him a lifeline, and here he is. Out on the ground against his old team. Straight into the action. Long kick up to the wing off the pack. Spills through to Webster for the Saints. Hand pass away to Wood. Wood turns, kicks down to half forward. Marshall hands to it, crunching into him. Wiedering, ball spills free. Saints with the numbers at the drop. Crouch gives it to Sharman, kicks into the pocket. Higgins flies in the air, tangles with Newman. Newman finds the safety of the boundary line. And a throw in forward pocket for St Kilda. 25 gone in the third. Saints lead it by 8 points.
Been very good again today, Nick Newman.
Yeah, he's had some big moments, hasn't he?
Just to close space really quickly and just always gets a hand in to spoil when you think he's done.
Famously held Toby Green to just 5 disposals, and Jack Higgins having the tough afternoon this afternoon. Pitnet wins down the tap. Saints are keen to lock it up with Steele and Crouch. Locking up Hewitt in the right forward pocket for the Saints. Only about 30 metres around. Tossed in the air. King's doing the ruck against Pitnet. It comes down the way of Chincotta around his body towards the boundary line. Wanganeen Miller one direction, Martin the other. And it goes out of play for a throw-in. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Brody Kemp has just come to the Blues bench after an earlier collision a couple of moments ago. Just got some blood coming from his forehead, getting patched up on the bench as we speak.
Thanks, Jess. Ed Kerno, their sub, yet to be used. Boundary throw in. Pitternet grabs it out of the ruck, kicks it down the wing. Footy bounces. Martin gets rid of his straight opponent, wins the footy. Gives it to Cunningham. Hand pass to Dow. Threads a hand pass back to Cunningham. Kicks Carlton in the centre square. Turnover. And Wanganeen Malira takes the intercept mark for St Kilda. Back edge of the centre square. Wants to dish off the hand pass. Finds Stocker. In the middle of Dockland Stadium. Goes back to Wanganeen Millera. Kicks inside 50. Gresham takes the mark uncontested. 45 out right half forward.
Pretty poor defending there to have Jade Gresham just sitting inside 50. No point zoning space if there's a man free. So we need to push up and grab him.
Bradley Hill presenting short. Gresham thought about passing earlier and now he's going to have a ping. And now he just dabs it out in front of Max King. The sprawling mark. Low down hangs onto it.
Gee, the leading lane was just left vacant by the Blues. Gresham poked it out in front of Max King, and all 2 metres of him was able to reach out and reel it in just before it hit the turf.
Yeah, you just can't relax. I think it was Jack Martin and Adam Sard who... Jack Martin was sitting in space inside the forward 50, but it was Adam Sard who's probably standing on his man on the boundary. He just needed to have awareness that Jay Gresham probably didn't have the leg in him, and there was space in front of Max King.
The King to try and lead St Kilda to victory and shore up a place in the top 6. He moves in, he leaves it out there. Misses to the near side. And an almighty let-off for the Blues on the stroke of three-quarter time. St Kilda by 8 points. 8-3 to 6-7. Momentum with Carlton late in this third term.
Quarter time in Perth. It's the Dockers 2-2-14 to Brisbane 1-4-10. We'll take you there for the second half. And Sard brings the Blues back into play. Long kick towards Charlie Curnow. Stocker tries to fly over the back. It fell in the hands of Cunningham. He thought he should have been paid the mark. Play on's the call. Stocker tries to gather. Hand pass out towards Mitch Owens. Charges through a couple of tackles. Hand pass to Crouch. Inside 50. Higgins against a couple. And in from the side, Doherty takes the mark for the Blues. Left back pocket for Carlton, who trail by 8 points, approaching three-quarter time. The Blues have made inroads in this third term, 3-1. As Doherty sends it up towards Pitnet, works his way to the front against Marshall. Spoiled away, Steele couldn't get a kick to it. It spills out the way of Crouch, can't get a disposal either. Pitnet with a quick hand pass away. Cunningham up to half forward. Charlie Curnow got a cruel bounce. Gathering it, Wanganeen Millera. Hand pass to Cal Wilkie, back to Wanganeen Millera. As the siren for three-quarter time sounds. A thrilling final term still to come on ABC Sport. It's the Saints who lead by 8 points. 8-3-51 to the Blues, 6-7-43, with Carlton kicking 3-3 to the Saints, 1-1 in that third term, with the Saints leading by 22 points at half-time. For the Saints, 2 goals to Max King and 2 to Dan Butler, individuals to Crouch, Marshall, Higgins and Phillippo, while for the Blues, 2 to Jesse Motlop, individuals to De Koning, Akers, Martin and Owies. Charlie Curnow leading the race for the Coleman medal. Hasn't been held goalless so far this season. Last time he didn't kick a goal was back in round 1, 2022 against the Tigers in their round 1 fixture. Saints leading by 8 points at three-quarter time. Earlier today it was the Demons by 32 points. Fighting back from a slow start, trailing by 33 points in the second quarter. They eventually prevailed 15-13, 103 to North Melbourne, 10-11, 71. Unfortunately, though, for the Demons, Harrison Petty suffered an ankle injury and finished the match in a moon boot. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
What's your favourite Aussie animal sound? Are you mad for magpies? Keen on the koala? Do you like to wallow in whale song? Or maybe you're team tree frog? How about whatever it is that lyrebirds do when they're actually being lyrebirds? To celebrate National Science Week, the ABC is looking and listening for Australia's favourite animal noise. Find out more at abc.net.au/sound.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Fogarty can't mark. Hewitt tries to knock it inside 50. Doherty got it to De Koning. Jams it on the boot towards the goal line. It gets there. Talk De Koning with something out of nothing for the Blues. For the first goal of the third term, Doherty marks, hand pass to Akers, over the top to Motlop, through the middle of the ground, takes a bounce, gets the half forward, vacant goal square. Does he go for home? He steers it through his second. Big goal for the Blues.
He's got it on the wing, but his direct opponent drops back. He goes long to a 2-on-1. Tough one for Owies, but he marks. In comes Matt Owies. Straight through it goes. And the Blues are riding momentum under the roof at Docklands.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
The Blues are back in the fight, but it's the Saints who lead by 8 points at three-quarter time. 8-3-51 to Carlton, 6-7-43. Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. The thoughts of Brett Delineo and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport.
Well, over to you, Blues. It's you want this win. You want to solidify your spot in the finals. Let's get this job done here today. I felt like they had the real control of that quarter, Murph. They They went at the game to equalise the numbers down forward. I know it looked a little bit crowded down there at times, but Cottrell to battle certainly made that happen. De Conning played one of his best quarters that we've seen. He wasn't huge in terms of where was he with his numbers. He only had the 4 touches, but some of the 3 of those were inside 50s and 3 score involvements.
And a goal, having gone to full forward.
And a goal, for Childers one at that. But, I think that they looked the side that's ready to go into this last quarter, but forever and a day, we know how St Kilda will, structure up, and Ross will do his best to make sure and tie this game right up to make sure that, they're still in this game as well. So,
they'll have to play with a lot of risk, Carlton, because we know how strong St Kilda have been, and they've been really strong today defensively, so there's not going to be a lot of gaps, but Carlton have got to be really positive with their ball use and back themselves in, and they've tried to do that through various parts of the ground or at various stages today, but they've turned the ball over and St Kilda have made them pay. So they still need to play with dare and risk, Carlton, but they just need to back in what they've done previously, because when they are at their best and they have backed their hands in or their leg, they've been able to score. And it's been through just pure want and determination when they have scored in that third quarter that they were able to penetrate the St Kilda defence. If they go slow, it's just going to play into their hands. So it's going to be a really interesting battle. I've really loved the way in which St Kilda have gone about today. Their pressure's just been as good as I've seen from any team this year. They've certainly made Carlton work their way through it, and it's been very tough for them to find an avenue to goal. And I've just been very impressed by the way in which St Kilda have covered off outlets and just refused to let Carlton go through the corridor.
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for the Blues. They're going to have to continue to take those risks, as you said, but with that comes the element of being scored against the other way. Both teams have been super sound defensively. It's been a real between-the-arcs battle, hasn't it? What are the inside 50s there, Clinchy? 38-36 in favour of Carlton, which has led to a high tackle game as well. The Saints have had
72 tackles. 51.
Yeah, that's a huge number, especially here down in the Docklands, where it's usually more free-flowing, open football. So they've done really well in that sense. But
they've had a real hard edge today, I feel, St Kilda. They've tackled with real aggression.
Dial, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think what the Blues will be looking for is, and it probably goes back on this guy's shoulders a bit in Charlie Curnow, yet to kick a goal. Can he ignite and really get off the chain somewhere in this last quarter? He has worked incredibly hard, but they've just had so much pressure around the footy. There hasn't any clean air, but he's had no space to work in, and he's been the guy that's been delivering an inside forward 50 more often than not.
Ed Curnow still not activated as the sub. Is there a role for him?
I'm not sure whether or not they'll make the change. Possibly might go to a wing or come through the corridor, but I feel they just back in their team at the moment.
Unusual sub.
Yeah. Stocker came in that third term for Filippo. Into the final term we go. Saints leading by 8 points. Big game for top 8 ramifications. Free kick for a hold. It's going the Blues' way. Cripps takes the advantage. Hand pass to Fisher. Sends it Hongi and long towards half forward. Holland's running back with a flight. Couldn't quite gather. It spills out the way of Stocker. Hand pass to Battle under pressure for the Saints. Hill is set upon. Motlop and Hollands laying the tackle. And Carlton lock it up just inside 50.
Because they've really found one, Ollie Hollands. I reckon he's an absolute star for a first-year player. Been terrific again today.
Pick 11 in the national draft. Missed only a handful of games with injury from the restart. Hill tries to kick it forward. Smothered by De Conning. Wins his own footy again. Gives it to Fisher. Kicks deep forward. Curnow the target. No mark. Spills to Motlop. Hand pass away to Owies. Threads it through traffic. Cunningham. Banana. Goal. Here come the Baggers. They're within 2 points. A minute into the final term. St Kilda 8-3, 51. Carlton coming. 3 in a row either side of the final change. 7-7, 49. 60 seconds travelled in the final term.
There's a few bit of individual brilliance then from Zach Fisher, who I don't think they understood that he was a left footer, and he just burned around his left foot and delivered it inside 50. And it was a great contest forward. Really enjoyed. And Matty Owies went to snap it, but saw a teammate in a better spot and saw David Cunningham. So rather than throw it on the boot, give it off to David Cunningham, who kicked a beautiful little banana.
What impressed me was the work rate of Ollie Hollands to get down there as that offside winger, put that pressure on, keep the ball inside their forward 50.
Big opening centre bounce clearance to the Blues. Back in the middle. Pitnet wins down the tap against Marshall. Releases Dow. Kicks inside 50. Curnow charging out. getting back battle. Couldn't get a clean disposal away. Cordy to Wanganeen Miller up, brushes the tackle. High kick inside 50. Have a go at that. Charging out Cooper Sharman. Just blows it down with his body. But Akers is onto it for the Blues. Hand pass to Cripps. Swung to his right, now back to his left. Inside 50 to Koning, charging out. Can't take the mark. Through the hands of Cunningham. Charging in Stocker. Over the top of the footy. Motlop over the top of him. Umpire comes in and will ball it up. 40 metres out from Carlton's goal. The Blues back within 2 points.
Tried by as many as 22 points at the 8-minute mark of that third quarter. DeConing's been enormous. Grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass away to Cottrell. Feeds it over to Adam Sard. Kicks off his right boot to the top of the goal square. Punched away by Wood. Goes through for a rush behind. And that halves St Kilda's lead. It's the Saints by just a single point. Carlton 7-8-50. St Kilda 8-3-51. 3 gone. Final term.
Booing him. That's a bit rich.
Liam Stocker. The St Kilda getting booed by the Carlton fans who got traded with the listed.
Yeah.
Delisted, picked up by the Saints and copping the booze.
Whoever said something to Tom DeConning at half-time, I think they found the answer to get him going. He's just played like a man possessed in this second half. Been terrific.
Wonder if he copped the Max Corns, as we heard he heard it. Got it half-time from Simon Goodwin. Stocker got it back from Wanganeen Miller. A big fly at the back. Cooper Sharman clears everyone. And Newman gathers almost at centre-half back for the Blues. Hand pass to Fisher. Swings onto his left-hand side and kicks to Sard. Inside the defensive 50 to Chincotta. And Sard wanted to race around the back to get the hand pass as a result of 50-metre penalty. Butler moved and Chincotta's charging forward. The umpire stopped just at the edge of the centre square. Short a half forward for the Blues. And the Saints have flooded numbers back. Chincotta looks inside 50. No one there in the end for the Blues. And Josh Battle, as he has so many times this afternoon, takes the intercepting mark 15 metres out from his defensive goal.
That 50's technically there, but it's such a big penalty for a bloke taking half a step to man the mark, isn't it?
Battle to Wood. Got it from Wanganeen Miller, so Wood goes short to half back. And Stocker takes the mark again. Honours the sub, the former Blue. St Kilda by a point, having led by as many as 22 in the third. Long kick, boundary line, city side, Wiedering with the intercept mark. Had another fine year, he's played every game. Jacob Wiedering, one of only 2 Carlton players to do so, along with Charlie Curnow. He goes back to Fisher.
Just refusing to give the switch up at the moment, St Kilda, just covering off all outlets.
So Fisher's got to go back city side. He kicks to a contest on the wing, a high up and under. In the box seat, his Battle, and DeConning just whacks it away from him and out of play. So a boundary throw-in. City wing at Docklands, 5 minutes into the last. Carlton within a point. They haven't led since the opening term. It is St Kilda by 1, 5 minutes into the final term.
Thrown back into play. Pitnet and Marshall have had a good battle all afternoon. Pitnet knocks it to his own advantage. Squeezes the kick towards half forward. Motlop in front. Takes the mark against Stocker. Plays on, swings onto his right. What a pass. And Maddo is leading up marks on his chest. It hasn't been the Charlie show this afternoon. It's been their small forwards who have come to the party. And Maddo is at the chance to kick his second.
Yeah, well, Stocker didn't hear the touch play on call, so he fell off Motlop, which gave him that little bit of space. He didn't need that much. Perfect little kick over to Owies. Good little dance step around, dab kick inside forward 50. You just need to finish now.
3 lead changes in the opening term. The Saints have led from that point onwards. Owies to put the baggers in front. Misses to the left-hand side. And scores a level at the 6-minute mark of the final term. They were ready to erupt.
That 22-point lead is gone altogether. Sinclair out of the goal square, short to Wilkie. Last 7 weeks, the Saints have only beaten the bottom 3 teams, but they've spent every week in the top 6 this season. And have led this game for large periods. Short kick to Wanganeen Miller. Still in the defensive 50. Short ball to Hill. Centre half back, he's off and running. He's going to try up the city side. Goes with a long, dangerous kick to Wood. Doesn't complete the mark. Stocker there to mop it up. Tackled by Akers. Got a hand pass out to Wood. Handball to Burns. He's set upon. Now Hill, tackled, dispossessed. Wanganeen Malera taken high. Free kick for Wanganeen Malera, half back for the Saints. Scores level. 6.5 gone, final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
I think we can hear where Murph's alliances are like, aren't we?
Better turn the mic off.
Wanganeen Miller kicks up to the wing. Pittner with the intercepting mark. The Carlton ruckman marks centre wing. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Carlton has pulled the trigger on their sub. Ed Curno's coming into the game for Paddy Dow.
Thanks, Jess. Pittner long to Koenig. Couldn't take the mark. Oh, he's the crummer. Inboard to Doherty. Releases the hand pass. Swinging on his right. Paddy Dow.
Oh, what? Reverse it.
Blues are in front. And for so long he's battled to get his opportunities at the AFL level. Paddy Dow says, have some of that, as he puts the Blue Baggers in front by 6 points. 8-9-57 to St Kilda 8-3-51. The Saints having led since quarter time, but the Blues are back in front now. Jess Webster on the boundary.
You got a feel for Paddy Dow. I got a glimpse of the paperwork, so I am correct, and he's come straight to the bench after kicking that goal. He will be subbed out.
Oh, jeez, you don't have to be dead to be stiff, do you? I feel sorry for the kid. He's had 19
disposals and kicked a goal.
Yeah, and giving him some life. They've
reversed it, have they?
Back to Jess.
I think Carlton are going to reverse that decision. So I definitely saw the paperwork. Number 2 was on it. He was subbed out. Michael Voss on the bench has just given the signal to say, no, he's not coming out. So I think the decision is going to be reversed. But I'm not sure. I think Ed Curno's run onto the field. So
no, he's put the jacket back on, Jess.
Okay, all right. So he's on the bench. Then Paddy Dow's still on the bench for now. So the sub hasn't been activated.
Put the paperwork into the shredder. Paddy Dow staying out there. Wood kicks the Saints inside the forward 50. Top of the goal square. Ball comes out towards Holland to the Blues, though. Hand pass to Fisher. He kicks wide to half back, and Stocker knocks it out of bounds in a tangle with Fogarty. So a boundary throw in half forward for the Saints. That was incredible. So he was definitely getting ready to come on. I'm sure Jess was absolutely spot on. Dow was coming out.
Yeah.
He kicks the goal. They grab the paperwork, so don't worry about it. Curnow puts the jacket back on, and he sits back down. So still the sub unused for Carlton. They lead the game by a goal. What a turnaround. 4th lead change. Marshall out of the ruck. Gets a high up and under inside 50. Good luck marking that. Spills down to Hollands. Tackle dispossessed. Newman jams it on the boot but turns it over. Gresham, 60 out. Puts St Kilda to the top of the goal square. Pack forms. Out the back. Sharman chases it. Has a fresh air shot trying to soccer it through. Picks up the footy. Handball to Wood. Retreating. Hooks the kick back to the teeth of goal. They all compete. Hits the deck. Sard grabs it. Hand pass to Newman. Handball back to Doherty. Walks it over the goal line for a rush behind. Carlton's lead down to 5 points. 10 minutes gone. Final term. We've got our 4th lead change of the match in this final quarter. Carlton have kicked the last 4.
This is a tough game, isn't it? Just blokes throwing their bodies into the contest, up in the air. Very willing contest at the moment from both St Kilda and Carlton.
In Perth, Joe Danaher with a goal. The Brisbane Lions lead by 9 points against the Dockers. We'll take you there for the second half. Fisher sends it up to Hollands, who takes the mark at right half back.
Beautiful kick from Zach Fisher.
And that's why he's there, because he makes stuff happen.
Possession number 30 on return for Zach Fisher. Up towards Charlie Curnow from Hollands. Can't take the mark. Lays the tackle on Burns despite the ball being clear. Martin kept it alive to Cunningham, to Pittner, to Cripps, back to Cunningham. Runs the boundary, gets to 50. Centering ball to the goal mouth. 2-on-1 St Kilda's way. And Cottrell's beaten by Wood, who takes the mark with good support from Stocker. Mason Wood looks up towards Hill. Not a great kick, and Doherty slides in front to take the mark. Sam Doherty out to the left. He'll kick from just outside 50.
It's great defensive work rate from everyone in the Carlton jump, but then there's no outlets to go, especially on a turnover. There was a quick one that usually you can find an outlet in that first or second kick, but Sam Doherty was just right there for the decision to come forward. It was terrific.
Had a season low 18 disposals last week against the Pies. A big opportunity here to land a telling blow for the Blues. He veers out to the right. Doherty with everything he's got. It's out to the left. And a minor score. Carlton back in front by a goal. 11 minutes gone, final term.
Bit of a talking point, that Dow non-sub, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what, the Blues faithful, they're ready to lift the lid off this joint.
The lid on their season might have gone a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I reckon you're right.
St Kilda bring it in. Sinclair short to Burns, back pocket. Chasing 7 in a row, the Blues. And Michael Voss, a first win against Ross Lyon. Long kick up to the wing, off hands, it spills down to Hollands of the Blues. Hand pass to Sard, handball to Doherty. High up and under. Martin at the drop, spills a chest mark. Still 60 out from the Carlton goal. Hollands clean. Hand pass to Curnow. 360 spin. Hand pass to Krebs. He becomes tackler on Sinclair. Got him high. Free kick for the All-Australian half-back. Jack Sinclair goes short to Gresham. Now a hand pass to Windhager, top of the defensive goal square.
Kicks to Wilkie, who just took the mark in front of Akers. Out to right half-back. Mason Wood takes the mark. Has Wanganeen Millerer. Tries to draw Motlop. Decides against the hand pass. Now goes to the kick. Up the wing, and the mark is taken. Caminiti a long way from home. He looks into the middle of the ground. No options on offer, so sends it along as he can in the direction of the flying Cooper Sharman. Can't take the mark. Front and centre, Higgins fires on goal and hits the post. Just trying to fade it back late. Jack Higgins had a quiet afternoon with Nick Newman for company. That would have been a big blow. Carlton by 5 points. 12 minutes gone, final term.
Blues Blues trailed by 22 in that third quarter. It was the biggest lead for the Saints in the game. From that point on, Carlton have kicked the last 4 goals of the match. Blues by 5, 13 gone in the last.
It's going to take some time out at the moment. Look, they're pretty spent, both teams.
Short kicking game in the defensive 50. Martin to Wiedering. De Koning's hitting up. De Koning calls for the footy, demands it. Sinclair does well to spoil. Loose footy on the wing. Marshall bangs into Hollands. Down clean pickup. Grabs it in front of the benches, makes 40 metres, kicks down the line, it's out of play. And a throw in 70 out from the Carlton goal. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Take 2 on the Carlton sub. Ed Curnow's coming into the ground, and it is Lockie Fogarty who's coming out.
Thanks, Jess. So Fogarty's still out there for the time being, but Ed Curnow's getting ready to go. 5-point lead for the Blues, 14 gone, final term.
Unless he kicks the next goal. Hey, Jess. Cottrell tries to soccer it forward on the wing. Mitch Owens pressuring him. Cottrell can't gather. And it goes out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, it's probably the right call. Fogarty hasn't really had
4 touches. Yeah, he's had a tough day. As a small forward can sometimes be. But yeah, still perplexed as to why Dow was coming out earlier.
Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio, Matt Clinch, Corbin Minimas and Jess Webster. De Koning down to Dow, kicks towards half forward. Cunningham caught behind. Windhager knocked it forward, but straight to Doherty. Outside of the boot, kicks into the pocket. It'll spin out of play for a boundary throw-in. And the umpire gestures to throw it in. The Blues have it inside 50, leading by 5 points. With victory today, Carlton would jump to 5th on the AFL ladder.
Oh, there's almost nosebleed section up there, Murph, all the way on 5th.
You going to be right, Murph, up there?
I'll be right.
5-point lead for the Baggers at the moment. 15 gone, final term. Forward 50 stoppage for Carlton. Curnow doing the ruck work, becomes tackler immediately as he locks up the Saint on the bottom of the pack, and the umpire says, I'll have it. And the last man up is Mitch Owens, the young St Kilda star. Up it goes again. Marshall grabs it out of the ruck, kicks out of the defensive arc. They all compete half forward for the Blues. Marchbank knocks it away. Cunningham collects. Hand pass to Cottrell. Surge kick forward. Doherty marks right on the 50. Right half forward. He had a set shot from the other flank moments ago. Missed near side. He'll have a ping again here from long range.
They certainly got in his leg, Sam Doherty's a long kick of the football, and he'll, as they all do around 50 now, they use that rule just to get an extra few metres, don't they, by arcing around.
He's got his right calf heavily strapped. The Carlton veteran. Sam Doherty steps out to the right. Right foot drop punt. He's on target and hits the post. Just tipping late. And hits the right-hand goal post halfway up. Carlton's lead 6 points, 16 gone, final term.
Wanganeen Millerer wants to take it quickly. He works it out to Mason Wood, who marks it right half back, despite the late efforts of Blake Acres. Saints led from quarter time onwards. The Blues have fought back in the second half. Back to Webster, out to Burns, charging in Cottrell, made body contact, spills to the back. Cordy one direction, Doherty the other. Cordy gathers, Doherty lays the tackle, pinning the arm. The umpire will ball it up on the wing. Great contest from both players and from both sides. Jess Webster.
I've just received confirmation for those listening at home on the sub. So clubs can reverse their sub decision if the substitute doesn't go onto the ground.
Taconing out to Motlop. Here's Ed Curnow on cue to brother Charlie. Can't take the mark. Clears him and Wilkie charging in was Wood. Bouncing into him, Akers. Akers gathers in the right forward pocket. Gets the hand pass away. Charlie Curnow on the right. Steers it through. Carlton fans ready to raise the roof as they lead by 12 points. 3 goals to none in this final term. And they're up by 12 points. And Charlie Curnow is on the board at the 17-minute mark of the final term. 9-11-65 to the Saints, 8-5-53. Now it's the Saints' turn to try and fight back.
Yeah, it was that was the goal they've put them peppering, haven't they, Murph? And Rossi probably be thinking, why didn't I inject Ed Curnow into the game early? As soon as he has an inside 50, Charlie kicks a goal for us. But it was great work, good ability just to link up and get it inside there.
The contest from Akers here.
Yeah, massive contest.
Square, just taking
kept his feet. The key was that he kept his feet. I thought he was going to snap it over his shoulder. Great finish.
Carlton by 2 goals. Back in the middle, Taconing wins the head out and then grabs the footy, gets the clearance. Kicks it to centre half forward. Battle goes without it. Motlop collects, breaks a tackle, hands it to Martin. Handball out to Hollands, gets it back to Motlop. Forward pocket, trying to get back on his preferred side. Hand pass comes out to Hewitt, tackled by Crouch. He gives it to Cripps, who's under pressure. Short kick forward, Cottrell grabs it, snaps goalward. It's online, Wilkie saves the day. Punches it through for a rush behind. In fact, it's not a rush behind. It's a free against Curnow, manhandling him in the goal square. 2 goals is Carlton's lead. Final 7 minutes of the game. Saints have led most of the day, but now they're chasing the match. 19 gone, final term.
Kick from Wilkie, hugging the boundary line of Burns, and Hollands sees it out of play. Carlton fans leaning over the fence in admiration for this young blue bagger.
Yeah, and rightly so too. Clinchy's had some really big moments in this last quarter. Been really sound defensively.
It's fair to say they ride the highs of the roller coaster more than others, Carlton fans, as Windhager tries to get a clearing hand pass. He can't do so, and Paddy Dow, who at one stage was going to be subbed out, was locked up for a moment. The ball spills clear, and Hollands with another effort locks it up just at right half forward.
And you really see that from first-year players. This defensive elements of his game are just top-notch already. Ollie Hollands.
Carlton by 12, out of the ruck. Marshall squeezed a kick forward. Marchbank had it, lost it, and the Gresham tackle. He went over though. Carlton keep their feet through Chincotta. Hand pass to Fisher, gives it to Hollands. Kicks inside 50. Cottrell competes, no mark. Sinclair grabs the loose footy. Kicks the Saints out of the defensive arc, but straight to Marchbank. It's coming back. Hand pass to Newman. Spears the pass to Cottrell. He marks 3 steps inside the 50. He'll kick from left half forward.
They've really lifted their composure around 50 in this last quarter. Carlton has probably been an area of their game where they've let themselves down in various stages today, but their last quarter, the ability to lower the eyes and see someone free rather than just bombing it into Charlie Curnow and hoping for the best. It's been a real improvement in this last quarter.
What a way to turn this game. Something the Blues have been criticised for not doing throughout the season. Cottrell on the drop punt. His kick is offline. It's out to the right. But a handy point, as we say in the classics. It's a 3-score game. Carlton by 13. 20 minutes travelled final term. The Blues 9-12-66. Saints flat-footed 8-5-53.
It's been some turnaround since half-time. Yep. Since you made that comment that Michael Voss was getting out-coached by Ross Lyon. The Blues have responded. Sinclair's long kick out towards Mason Wood. Can't take the mark. Hewitt with the hand pass to Akers. Inboard to Cottrell. To Cripps by hand. Hand pass over the head of Ed Curnow. Dow has to try and win it. Tackle by Cordy gets it away to Ed Curnow. Hand pass to Motlop. Off balance. It's a high kick. It's coming back. Not enough. It misses to the right-hand side. All the Blues in this final term. They've kicked 3-6. To St Kilda's 2 behinds to lead by 14 points.
Saints don't even kind of look like it at the moment as Webster brings it into Burns. Long kick up to the wing. Caminiti competes, spills down to Clark. Kicks along the ground to Coney. First one there. Hand pass away, went straight to Caminiti. Can the Saints get something going? Hand pass to Windhager along the boundary line. He kicks it out on the full. They invite the Blues back in and they grab the footy. And Wiedering will get it. Half-back for Carlton, kicks to a contest on the wing.
Long kick in front. Battle takes the mark in front of Charlie Curnow. Hand pass around the back to Hill. Carlton by 14 points, 21 minutes gone, final term up to Caminiti. He marks on his chest, looks inside 50, long kick looking for Gresham, back towards the goal square. Wiedering takes the intercepting mark. He missed Sharman lead up and had Higgins wider still, and it wasn't a great kick inside 50. Wiedering goes short to Chin-Cotter.
They just need to take a bit of time, didn't he, and just try and spot up the free rather than just trying to wheel and go as long as you can. He had frees coming up at the footy.
Now to Newman. He marks it left half back and chips it wider still, and Blake Acres has it. Carlton happy to take time off the clock now. Long kick up towards Charlie Curnow against two. Can't take the mark. Lands awkwardly with his ankle. Clark over the top, locks the ball on the outer wing. And the umpire will ball it up with Carlton leading by 14 points. 22 minutes gone, final term.
As you said, Clenchie, a win for the Blues here. They'll go 2 points clear in fifth. And if the final started tomorrow, that comes with a big-time home final in the first week. As Akers gets a hand pass to Cunningham to Owies, back to Akers, links up with Ed Curnow. He gives it to Akers again. His third touch in the chain. Unguarded, goal square. Kicks it. The Blues have something special cooking. They kicked the last 6 in the game. 23 minutes elapsed. Carlton by 20 points. 10-13, 73. St Kilda 8-5, 53. It is a 20-point lead for the Blues. Blake Acres with his second.
Well done, Blake Acres. He's had his moments today where he's kicked it back to the opposition. And we heard that first goal of Rowan Marshall where he went straight up to him. We heard earlier that they were out for dinner. Well, that's where I'd be heading straight now if I was Blake Acres. How are you, Ro? Not too bad, 2-1. I've kicked that one. Beautiful little finish there, 50 on the run.
Just great run, wasn't it? He was involved with the contest and then just the ability to work hard forward and be an outnumber for one of his teammates. And just a beautiful long kick for goal.
Owens is having a run in the ruck for the Saints. He wins down the tap and the clearance. Straight down the middle towards Crouch. Can't take the mark. Sard spoils it down. Trying to knock it out. Chin-Cotter. Knocked on by Fisher. Wood cuts through traffic. Hand pass to Wanganeen Millerer. Top of the 50. Chips it inside. Mark taken by Higgins. Hollins couldn't get a hand to it. Trying to peel off his opponent. And Jack Higgins finally has the footy. He swings out on the right. Sard charging at him. Just put him off his kick. And he can't bend it around the corner and misses out to the right-hand side. Tough afternoon for Jack Higgins. Through for a minor score. Blues leading by 19 points.
He just didn't get enough of it, Jack Higgins. He probably bellied it a little bit.
17 disposals, 1-3 for Jack Higgins this afternoon.
Newman told to go, steps out at the goal square, kicks the Blues to half-back. DeConing competes, just thumps it into the ground, comes to Owens, and DeConing goes a tackle in.
Great follow-up.
He's played like an animal today, Tom DeConing. What a night he's had. Particularly in the second half. 6 clearances, 6 inside 50s, 8 score involvements, 14 disposals. The Blues quickly get it going forward, but Wanganeen Millerer is there to pick it off. Hand pass away to Wilkie. Kicks the Saints down to half forward. 25-minute mark, final turn. Blues by 19. From the pack, spills down to Burns. Hurried kick inside 50. Scrapping for it, Chin-Cotter wins it on his knees. Hands it in the back pocket to Fisher. He gives it to Akers. Clears at the other end now. Out to half back. Hewitt goes up, no mark. There's a push in front of all of that. It's going to Cripps. And umpire Razor Ray blows advantage. George Hewitt's off and running. Burns gives chase, affects the kick, and Webster takes an intercept mark on the wing. But not before a free for an illegal block and a free kick for Charlie Curnow on the wing.
Curnow looks up towards half forward. Pitnet has space. He marks right on 50 out to the right and points to the goals. Surely this is beyond him, Murph, but he's just taking up time.
No, smart from big Mark Pitnet. He bucks a trend with smart ruckman. He certainly does, but he's pointing to the big sticks. He certainly does not have it in his leg. But smart to take off 30 seconds.
The Carlton ruckman out to the right will shoot from just outside 50. He pokes it into the pocket, charging out to Koning, can't take the mark. Off the hands of Cunningham, it goes out of play. Right forward pocket for Carlton, 26 minutes gone, final term. The Blues 10-13, 73. leading the Saints 8-6-54. Meanwhile, over in Perth, it's the Dockers who lead the Brisbane Lions at half-time.
We'll take you there for the second half shortly. Boundary throwing Pitternet down to Cripps. He's tackled. Pack forms. Hunt gives them plenty of time, and in the end, the Saints get it out. Owens kicks up to half-back. King the target. Umpire says play on. Spills down to Fisher. Clever. Taps it to Sard's advantage. High up and under inside 50. Pitternet competes. No mark. Punched away by the Saints, but straight to Hewitt. Kicks for Curnow. One-on-one with Wilkie. Neither of them get a play on it. Spills down to Wilkie. Hand pass away for the Saints against the boundary line to Wood. He chips it short and Stocker marks against the boundary line city side. He's going to go long. His target out there is Roland Marshall. There's going to be a free kick as Newman sits on top of the footy. He's going to have to hand the footy to Marshall right on halfway. He'll take it. City side on the wing.
Feeds a hand pass away to Stocker. Drives a long kick inside 50. Caminiti's there at King as well. Spoiled away by Marchbank. Doherty gathers. Jams it on the boot. Out to Ed Curnow. It gathers at left half back. Everything's clicking now for the Blues. Sends it up to the wing and Akers marks. And in no urgency, he pushes back behind his marks. Centre wing on the outer side. Carlton leading by 19 points. He's going to chip it back to Nick Newman. And fittingly, the siren might sound with the ball in his hands. Take notice, the AFL footy world. It's going to be another big Monday because the Blues are back in business. And they're up to 5th on the AFL ladder. Their 7th win on the trot as they fight back in the second half with the last 6 goals of the match to down the Saints by 19 points.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. We're all the champions they like to send up. We'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
The Saints led by 3 points at quarter time. They got out by 22 points at half time with 4 goals to 1 in the second quarter. The Blues started their fight back in the third term with 3 goals to 1. The margin was back to 8 points at three-quarter time. And Carlton finished with the last 6 goals of the match. In that final term, they came flying home, and the Saints really had no answer. 4 goals, 6 to the Saints, 3 behinds. Carlton winners by 19 points in front of 42,656 fans.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
What a turnaround it was for the Blues, and for the first time Michael Voss has bragging rights over Ross Lyon. A match which propels the Blues not only into September, but the threat that they could be there to do some damage.
Absolutely.
After all the heartbreak of last year. Carlton 10-13-73 to the Saints 8-6-54. And for the Saints, they slide down to 7th spot on the AFL ladder, having for so long held their spot inside the top 8. For the Blues, what a final term it was. 2 goals to Blake Acres, 2 goals to Jesse Motlop. Individuals to De Koning, Dow, Martin, Cunningham, Curnow and Owies. While for the Saints, 2 goals to King, 2 goals to Butler. Individuals to Crouch, Marshall, Higgins and Filippo. The Baggers are back in business. 19-point winners. The thoughts of Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio.
Well, it was a real mature win, I thought, today. They've had quite a few outs. They've got Chair, obviously, who I'll continually talk about him, probably leading their BNF at the moment, Sam Walsh. So they're 2 main running midfielders out of the side at the moment. Mitch McGovern being an out as well this week. Harry McCall obviously been out, but they weren't playing great football at all today, especially in that first half. It looked like St Kilda just had it on them in terms of their game plan. They were pressuring them really well around the stoppage and just weren't allowing Carlton to get any form of their ball movement going, which we've been so accustomed to seeing over the past 6 weeks. But yeah, got to give credit to them. They kept fighting and they ended up finding a way through the St Kilda defence, and I said a few times, and I was really just impressed with Tom de Koning. I thought he was really aggressive around the stoppages, and each contest that he had, whether that be in the air or ground, he's following up, second, third efforts, kicked a goal in there and just created space for others by the fact of his aggressive hits on players and at the ball. So, I think it's a big win for the context of their season, isn't it?
It is. Well, on a couple of fronts, I feel, for the Carlton coaching staff. We spoke about it at half-time, their inability to man up Josh Battle and not allow him just to play his game. And, they had that on their terms, the Saints, in the first half. So well done to the Blues there. But whoever spoke to Tom de Koning there at half-time, the magic juice, give him a bottle of that for the rest of the year, because it was inspired. And he sort of led the charge initially to say, righto, boys, well, this is how I'm going to be competitive. I'm going to have a crack. It was him, but it was also, I really liked Ollie Hollins. I thought he was great. Caleb Marchbank started to get on his bike. The half-backs in particular were really impressive. They pressed hard really forward, particularly in that last quarter, and did not give the Saints an easy out. We saw Doherty have 2 shots on goal. Newman was right up there. Marchbank I spoke about. And then their big anchor down back, Jacob Wiedering. He plays terrific footy week in, week out. Very solid. Played every game so far this year. You just know what you're going to get. So, well done, Blues. It's a win I wasn't sure was coming, to today. I did tip them, but I was like, I can see little cracks. But as you said, really mature win.
I reckon they've found one in Zach Fisher off a half-back flank. He just had just the poise at times when it looked like Carlton were just going to bang it long down the line. He got the ball in his hands and he just refused to throw it down the line and give the ball or give the Saints an opportunity to get the ball back. He was trying to spot up kicks and then get the run going for Carlton. I thought it was very impressive off a half-back flank.
You mentioned the mature win and the nature of it for Carlton today. It felt like their whole season in a nutshell today. That there's these games every now and then that pop up, and this wasn't on their terms, didn't look like it was going to be their day, which is what we thought when they'd lost 8 out of 9 games and they pretty much were cooked for the season, and they made it happen. They found a different way to get it done. When everyone else had counted them out, they rally and come back and win.
Stars out.
In 6 weeks, they've gone from 15th, 4th last, to 5th.
Wow.
In 6 weeks of footy, climbed 10 spots on the AFL table. So,
impressive.
Phenomenal afternoon.
You've got to give that to Michael Voss and the coaching staff. Obviously, the leaders and Patrick Cripps, who had
his house.
He had Ed Kerno's Bells Beach campfire, a few beers down there. But, you've got to hand it to the leaders of that football club for sticking fat when everyone's probably coming at them and demanding change. They thought that the culture of the place was really strong, and they've finally got themselves on a bit of a run. And the Carlton fans are really enjoying coming out and watching a side who, they fight and scrap, don't they, at the moment? I looked at the first half, it wasn't going to be their day. We were probably talking about Ross Lyon probably being too smart in the way in which he had coached and sort of set up the St Kilda game style. But, to their credit, they came out with a real hard approach in that second half. They changed a few things structural-wise in terms of Tom de Koning going a little bit deeper forward and creating some big contests there. And Paddy Cripps, I thought, was terrific again, getting, I think he had the 11 clearances, didn't he, Liz? So he just continually keeps on fighting around the stoppages for them.
They ended up smacking them in the clearances, 46-22. And as you touch on, Corby, it's funny how similar it is to their season. They obviously went through that phase where they lost 6 on the trot. All of a sudden they find their rhythm. This afternoon they're 22 points down. They look a long way off it. They're able to adjust on the fly in the second half and change it around. And in the end, the second half was 7 goals, 9 to St Kilda's 1-4. It was a disappointing lack of response from the Saints, especially in that last term.
Well, that's Saints under Ross Lyon, though. They don't score, do they? They're really sound defensively, but they could not score, and that's ultimately what's cost them here in this, particularly in that last quarter when they were trying to get the ball moving and get it going. They couldn't put the foot on the throat.
Do you know what else is interesting about that? Is in the pre-season, and our mate Brendan Goddard was one of them, everybody at St Kilda wanted to tell you how their running numbers had never been better and that they've just got them as fit as they possibly could, and they run them into the ground, and everyone set PBs. And now in the last month of the season, the question is, have they got the legs to be able to run out the season? It is a long, long year.
What's the narrative, though, after this loss, though? Is it back to where they were a couple of weeks ago with we haven't got the cattle, or is it, stick with us and come and support us? What is it?
They've got 3 to go. They've got to win 2 of them.
Yeah.
And those matches are against Richmond at the MCG next Sunday, Geelong and the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba.
Yeah, that doesn't get much tougher, does it? Let's be honest.
It's rated the hardest run home by Champion Data leading into last weekend, or this weekend.
So the Blues winners by 19 points. And I meant what I said. Look out for the Carlton fans on Monday because they will come and find you. Let's go and join the Baggers with Jess Webster.
What a win it was for the Carlton Footy Club. They've just made their way into the rooms now, led by Paddy Cripps. Had to come from 22 points down, a dominant last quarter to win by 19 points. They're up to 5th on the ladder, a huge win to solidify their place in the top 8. They've gathered in the circle now. George Hewitt, the last one to join the group. Let's have a listen to this song. No doubt it's going to be sung with full of gusto.
We're the only team on Carlton. We're all the champions. Let's send us. Keep your hands up. Never know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
Big win to the Blues. They take on Melbourne in a blockbuster next week.
Thanks, Jess. We're on air for about another 11 minutes' time, so I'll try and bring you a reaction from the Carlton rooms. A significant win for them, with the Dockers holding a 11-point advantage at halftime in Perth, 5-4-34 to the Brisbane Lions, 3-5-23. We'll take you there for the second half momentarily. But the challenge to the Saints, you kind of touched on a bit there, Lids, as to how Ross Lyon tries to sell the narrative. The disappointing part is the second half fight back, and Brad Crouch had a dominant first half. He was the leading possession getter, and I think he was the number one clearance player on the ground. But in the end, they just struggled a little bit with their connection inside 50, and once the Blues clearance game got going, it was up to their back half to try and springboard their attack. Yeah, it was, and it's interesting to see where the Saints do go from here. I mean, they're certainly not down and out, let's be honest. But I don't feel like they've got the players or the game style, particularly. If it's a dour, grind, then they'll be in games. But if it becomes fast like that game did, they're not able to compete with the better teams.
What a difference a half makes. So sitting in at half time thinking they had a game style that would really hold up, and I think can still hold up. I think they can go out there next week and beat Richmond and get their season back on track, but just get the momentum back in their favour. I thought they were really good for a half of football today, St Kilda. And they started off the third quarter really well for probably the first 5 or 6 minutes. And it didn't really look like Carlton were going to trouble them too much. It was really Tom DeConning's goal that sort of sparked a little bit of ball movement and a bit of energy. So I thought they were pretty good for a half and a bit, but pretty good for a half and a bit. It's not going to take it too far, is that, unfortunately?
We'll be here for it. St Kilda, Richmond
next
week.
Sunday. Be a big game, be good.
Does it feel more significant? Move something about it. Does it feel more significant than last week's win against Collingwood? I mean, they played so well, Carlton, in that match. Considering the pressure and the intensity, Collingwood maybe were a little bit off. But given the style of game and the pattern in which the first half set up, does it feel like it was more significant? The personnel missing are still the same. Does it? Yeah. You start to look at some of the opponents Carlton have now beaten, and they've beaten a few sides inside the top 8.
No, they have. Well, they've beaten Port Adelaide, and they had obviously Collingwood last week and beat St Kilda today. Last week was a huge win. You beat the ladder leaders in Collingwood, who looked like they were unbeatable at one point, and they really, not they belted them up around the contest last week, but I thought their pressure and physicality was really strong. Carlton last week against Collingwood, and then today was really important. I called it mature just for the fact that had a lot of important players missing from their side today, and they weren't playing great football in that first half. So to be able to turn around in game was really important and really good for their confidence going forward. That knowing that it's not quite working for us at this point in time, but let's analyse why it's not working for us. We know what does work. Let's get back to physicality, contest, and that's what really got them going in this game. So they're both significant wins, I think, Clinchy. I think last week was huge, obviously. Any time you beat Collingwood at the MCG, especially when they're on top of the ladder, is huge. But I think today was one of those games which was really important for the footy club. So the Blues up to 5th spot on the AFL ladder. Let's join them with Jess Webster.
Thanks, Clinchy. Here with Tom DeConing, who signed a new contract earlier in the week, and you've celebrated with a really impressive win. That was a really impressive turnaround to take down the Saints. It must be a really satisfying win.
Yeah, it was huge. It's always good. We haven't really been challenged like that in the first half in the last 6 weeks or so, so it was good to be able to respond in that second half and get the job done, for sure.
7 in a row now for this club. From where you came from earlier in the season to now, what do you put down this turnaround to?
I think there's just been a massive emphasis on our inside pressure and our hunt inside the cage and winning our battles as well. So, yeah, we're getting that done, starting off in the midfield and down forward we're winning our battles, and boys are just getting their job done, which is huge.
I'll send you straight upstairs to our experts. So Mark Murphy and Brett Delidio, over to you.
Liggy Murphy, mate, well done on your game today. I thought you were terrific after half-time. What sparked your energy after half-time? Was it Big Matty Cruiser getting in your ear, or who was it that got you going? Because I thought you were very aggressive in that second half.
Yeah. Cruiser's in my ear all game. So, the big fella just said, just focus on my hunt and my follow-up and the rest will come. So, yeah, it was good to be able to bring that and have a little bit of an impact on the game in the second half.
And obviously signing for the next 2 years, mate. Why stay at Carlton when there's lots of other clubs who were chasing your signature and offering, no doubt, some good money to go elsewhere? Why stay at Carlton? And well done, firstly, on signing those 2 years.
Oh, thanks, Liggy. I think what I've Carlton's a team that drafted me, and I think what we're starting to build is something really special, and it's something I really want to be a part of. And the relationship I have with all the players and everything, it can't be matched. So I'm really stoked to be staying for at least the next 2 years, and looking forward to see what we can do.
Tom, Brett Lidio here. I'm just interested in the chat at half time, mate. Obviously things weren't going your way. Was there much of the talk around equalising forward of the footy and obviously yourself being thrown forward? Was that much of the talk in there?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, they were trying to drop a number back and, try and affect Charlie's aerial game. And, we kind of got him up the ground a bit more and tried to get me a bit deeper. And so the spare was up the ground a bit. And I think that really helped us be able to create a contest in the air and bring it to the front and get our smalls into the game.
You must be pleased with the work of the halfbacks, mate. You're talking Nick Newman, Zach Fisher, Sammy Doherty down their side as well. They give you so much drive off there, but I thought Zach Fisher was probably the one. We haven't seen a lot of him in halfback. He's been doing it in the VFL the last few weeks, but he was impressive today. Yeah, he was. He's been getting his job done every week in the VFL, and it's good to finally see him get a run down there. He hasn't played much footy back there, and today he's shown he's really capable, so it was awesome.
Tom de Koning's with us from the Carlton rooms. What's it like in that final term when the roof feels like it's about to explode and the Carlton fans are roaring you to life?
Oh, it's unbelievable, honestly. Like when Charlie kicked that goal, thought the roof was going to collapse there for a minute, and it really just gets us going, gets us up and about. I'm lucky enough to be sponsored by the cheer squad, and they always get around me whenever I go to the square. They're always chant my name, which is awesome, and it really gets me going. It gets all the boys going as well.
Do they have any special chants for you down there, Tom? Can you give us one of them?
No, I'm not going to give you any, Liggy. No, they got a few. It's good.
7-1 in the second half. You touch a bit on the message at half-time, but just the turnaround, it felt like you were able to get your clearance game going, and Paddy Dow was able to kick a goal there and play a crucial role alongside your captain, Patrick Cripps.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as I said, the boys are really just bought into their role the last 6 weeks, and today was no different, and we really have that mindset of whoever can come in can get their role done, that next man up mentality. And Dowie's been playing unreal footy all year, and it was no surprise that he played a great game tonight as well.
And finally, another great game from Nick Newman as well. What a season he's having.
Yeah, like Newey, he just flies under the radar a bit, doesn't he? And he's one who's always getting his job done every week and has a massive impact. He's a real general down there. Like he's screaming all day and setting up the field in front of him. So he's really important for our team at the moment.
Congratulations on the win, Tom. Great to catch up. Good luck against the Demons next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tom de Koning joining us from the victorious Carlton Rooms, winners by 19 points. 10-13-73 to the Saints, 8-6-54 in front of 42,656 fans.
Do I dare ask, Murph?
Yeah, what's that nickname?
Nah, just an in joke.
Right. Is it one of these Binger things where you all have the same nickname and you call each other the same thing?
Yeah, we don't really know why it started, but it started and it stuck.
Liggy.
Yeah, right.
Like L-E or L-I?
Oh, I don't even know.
How would you spell it?
However you want to spell it.
How do you spell it in text?
He wants to put it on Twitter.
Just L-I-G-G-Y.
Yep.
Liggy.
Smalls. Grouse.
The votes for the ABC Football of the Year. Who's got the job today?
I think I do.
Looking at each other.
No, we went... who did we go with for one again? I think it was... Yeah, Zach Fisher was our one vote. I thought he was fantastic. we spoke about it quite a few times during the call. His ability to not just blaze and make something happen with his ball. He had the 32 today. 5 of those only contested, but I think his high metres game, I thought, today, but he just always provided that option, so I really liked him.
I think just impressed by the fact he'd missed 7 or 8 weeks and played VFL to come in and have 32, but just looked really composed with the football. I thought it was a really terrific game from Zach, probably one of his better games for the footy club.
So 2 votes, we went for Cal Wilkie. I thought his job on Charlie Curnow today was unreal. His ability to nullify him in the air, on the ground as well. He did have a lot of support from Josh Battle and his mids applying a lot of pressure, but he had 23 and kept Charlie to 1 goal. Very good effort.
All Australian lock?
Oh, yeah, you'd have to say he'd be up there, wouldn't you? Like they're still in the finals race, and he's been as consistent as any player.
Definitely in the 40.
Definitely in the 40. Yep. And 3 votes, we went for the unassuming player that Tom DeConing, Liggy, spoke about. Nick Newman, 35 touches today. Did a really good job on Jack Higgins. 13 marks, 3 tackles, 6 inside 50s for a half-back. Very, very impressive. He's been playing some really good footy of late for the Baggers.
Very quickly, what do we think of Pittenet's game, particularly in the second half?
Yeah, I thought he nullified Marshall really well. I thought he was terrific around the contest, yeah.
Yep, cool. That is the other interesting part, isn't it? I mean, he's going to be there for 4 years. You got DeConing for the next 2. How do they go sort of playing together?
Yeah, they're very different. I think Tom's shown that ability that he can play as a key target, key forward as well. I think he's certainly more mobile than what Mark is, but I think when you want someone aggressive at the contest, Mark Pittenet, I think, is very, very good in that area.
The inside 50s, Carlton's way, 56-44, so the Blues are able to get on top in the middle of the ground, and the Saints still have a bit of work to do in terms of their makeup of their best forward line.
Yep.
With Nick Newman doing a great job on Jack Higgins this afternoon and getting the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Some incredible results across the weekend. The terrible news around Nick Dacos and his injury alongside Nathan Murphy. What a thrilling end it's going to be to the home and away season. And the Blues with Melbourne on Saturday night. The Gold Coast Suns and GWS are almost there in a final spot. And the Saints with Richmond will be there next Sunday at the MCG for that match, with Brisbane and Geelong wedged in the middle as the final matches for them in the home and away season. So what a finish it's going to be to the home and away season. Thanks, Lids. Thanks, Murph. Thanks to Jess Webster. Thanks to the ever-reliable Stuart Baker and Ben Cameron back in the studio. Thanks to Corby. We're going to take you Perth way, where the Fremantle Dockers are in front, 5-5-35, leading the Brisbane Lions 3-6-24. Shot on goal for the Fremantle Dockers to extend that lead, and through it goes. So the Dockers very much against the script there. So we'll join our commentary team, led by Clint Wheldon and Mitch Turner, for what might be a very interesting closing match of round 21 of the AFL. Here at Docklands, the Blues winners by 19 points, and Carlton up to 5th on the AFL ladder. Enjoy your night on ABC Sport.
As we welcome listeners joining us from Carlton and St Kilda to Perth Stadium, the Dockers have just kicked their 6th goal, 6-5-41 to 3-6-24. Their lead now is 17 points. They began by a 4-point margin at quarter time. They led by 11 points at half time. Sam Sturt just kicking that major. The only multiple goal kicker of the game. Clint Wilton alongside Mitch Turner, our experts, Shane Woden and Sharad Wellingham.
Bailey gets the clearance this time for the Lions. Kicks towards Danaher at half forward. Freo got the spoil in. Henry coming through, gave it away. Under pressure.
Harry Taylor.
Harry Taylor. I was wondering what on earth. I was getting these signals from Mitch. I'm like, what are you on about? And now know there was 4 straight goals. It's always a nightmare joining the middle of the quarter. I'll just throw myself out the window. Sorry, Harry. Only spoken to you all weekend.
That's right. He only kicked 5 this week.
15 the week before. That's why he doesn't get a wrap.
Back here at Perth Stadium, Archie Shark, the young kick, kicks it towards the pocket.